Recording. Thanks. All right, everyone, it's 7 o'clock. It's January 12th. We are now in the town of Cottage City virtual town hall meeting. My name is Wanda Wheatley. I'm the commission chair. We will start off tonight with the roll call. Ward 1, Commissioner Young. Commissioner Young, I can see you, but I can't hear you. All right, I'm going to go on to, Ward 2, Commissioner Armache appears to be absent. Ward 3, Commissioner Wheatley is present. Ward 4, Commissioner Givens.
Commissioner Givens present.
All right. Commissioner Young. I can see you, but I cannot hear you. Commissioner Armache. Ward 2.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Yuri is absent. So again, we do have a quorum, so we can get started. Next on our agenda tonight is the approval of our minutes and financials for December 2021. That's a typo. Are there any comments or questions on the minutes from December? Commissioner Young has sent a comment in the chats. Her audio is not working at this time, so she will communicate via chat, but she is present. All right, so
This is Commissioner Armache. I do
Uh-huh.
have a question about the financials. I noticed, and I'm kind of assuming.
Before we go to the
Go
financials,
ahead.
I wanna do the minutes first, then we can do the financials.
Okay.
So if there's no comments on the minutes, I did not mean to do that. There are no comments on the minutes. Now we can go to the financials. And Commissioner Armache, you had a question or comment?
Yes, I am noticing that there are a number of items when I'm on page 2. I'm noticing that there are a number of items where our actual amount is much lower than our budgeted amount. In some cases, it's pretty drastic. Like, for example, I'm looking in the 4,000s. Colmar Manor, the code enforcement. Don't know if that's because we didn't have one part of the time. Budgeted was for 37, but the actual was only 7. Franchise fees, red light camera fees, highway user tax, income tax, those are all right in the 4,000s. And I'm just noticing that there's a big discrepancy, and I'm wondering if anybody knows a particular reason for that.
Hey all, this is Todd Frankenfield from Alta CPA Group. I'm happy to address the commissioner's questions. So in the financials, we report the annual budget. In the actual column, we've reported for the first half of the year. So any discrepancies, we're 6 months through the year. The assumption is the revenue trends will continue. So it's almost like take the actuals year to date and double it. Property taxes obviously is not going to follow that trend because collections are heavier in the first half of the year. But the remainder of things like franchise fees, red light cameras, the assumptions that the collections to date will double between now and the fiscal year end.
Got you. That makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Any other financial questions while we have our treasurer? If not, I do have a question. I actually have a few questions. So first of all, Todd, thank you for joining us tonight. I just want to ask you if you can explain to me on the first page, where it says as of December 31, 2020, and then in parentheses is PY. What's the PY for? What is that acronym?
So that's the balance sheet, the balance of the cash accounts, and we
Uh-huh.
compare it to the prior year, just as a point of reference. So at the end of 21, 21's the left column, so 2.634. At the end, am I still muted? Okay. And then at the end of 20, 2 million in cash.
Okay, so that the right column is the prior year.
Correct.
Okay. Then I have another question, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to answer this, or probably the chief can answer this one for me. So I was looking at what we actually spent for Halloween, and it's over 1,000, and we only budgeted 700. So, Chief, you want to address why we went over budget?
Yes, ma'am. It was coded wrong. We made sure we recoded. Something was coded wrong.
So that's not the right amount?
No, we stayed in budget. It's the point where something was coded wrong. I'll get with Brittany and see what was coded wrong.
Okay, that answers that one. And then I think I had one more question. So the red light camera program, I'm on page 4, line item 5250. So I guess the actual for right now is 58,000, or close, rounded up 59. And we budgeted 120. So are we on target to meet that, Chief? You think we're gonna meet that number?
Yes, ma'am. We should meet that number.
Okay. And there was one more thing I wanted to ask about. And it's on page 7. So I guess this is the transaction report for July through December. I'm not familiar with this business, Star Nails. Is anyone familiar with that business? And what are the deposits and the invoice? What is all of
Yes,
that?
that's Star Nails. Isn't Star Nails is at Colmar Manor
Manor.
Shopping Center?
Palmer Manor.
They're yeah.
Yeah, I know there's a Star Nails in Comar Manor, but why is that on our report, our financial report? That's not in our jurisdiction. You know what I mean? It's in Comar Manor. So I'm not understanding why it's up here.
Commissioner, can you
Anybody?
highlight the line item that you're referring to?
I don't have control to do that,
Okay.
but I can tell you what page it's on. It's on page 7. It's under personal property taxes. And it's number 133. So it's kind of towards the bottom of the page, or kind of like in the middle of the page, I guess.
And the business name was?
It's Star Nails Inc.
Okay. So how personal property billings work are SDAT sends us an assessment based on the personal property owned by the business. And then based on what was sent to us by SDAT, we would invoice the business accordingly. So if there's a question about jurisdiction, I think we can review with SDAP, but we'll research it with them.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Wheatley,
Is it
Yes.
possible,
that happened before with another business a few years ago. And I think they wound up having to forward it over to Como Manor.
Okay. All righty. That makes sense. And I want to ask about the breakfast with Santa. Did we go over budget with that? Does anyone know? It looks like we went over about like 150. Because we budgeted 14, but we spent 1545.
Yeah, it might have been coded wrong, ma'am. I checked the coding because we had purchased toys for that event as well as decorations, and it might be pulled out the wrong one for the decorations. We probably could pull it out of our office expenses. So I'll take care of that and make those adjustments.
Okay. I think that's it for me. I don't have any other questions. Anyone else have questions in regards to the financial reports? All right, hearing no further. Well, let's see, let me check the chat. Ann says she needs to speak, and yes, Ann, go ahead and speak.
no, I was just saying, if I need to speak, I do have the means to do that now using Bill's phone. So, but I don't have anything to say right now.
Okay,
Did you hear me?
Good.
Oh, okay.
yes, yeah, good to know.
Sorry, my
Thank you.
phone's messing up.
No problem. Let's see, there's another comment. Oh, welcome aboard, Mr. Frankenfield. Commissioner Armor Shea. All right, if there's no other comments on the financials or the minutes for December, is there a motion to approve with the, I guess with the stipulation that we get the star nails corrected and the coding for Halloween and breakfast with Santa?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Givens, second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Givens, aye.
Young, I.
Aye.
Wheatley, Commissioner Wheatley, aye. The minutes and financials have been approved for December. Let's see, what's next? Well, on the agenda, it says public comments. Are there any public comments at this time? All right, hearing no comments, we'll move on. Next on our agenda tonight is old business. So this first is to waive the competitive bidding requirement for the speed camera system. I believe, Chief, you're going to take that one.
Yes, ma'am. At this time, I'm trying to request a vote tonight to waive the competitive bidding for the red light camera and the speed cameras systems for the town of Carter City.
Okay, I believe we discussed this at the work session last week.
Yes, ma'am. We also got the reduction in the monthly costs down to a lower rate also in the contract. So everything's ready to go.
Do you have the contract in front of you?
I could pull it up. Give me some time, I can pull it up.
Yeah, because in order for us to vote on it, we need the cost. We need the amount.
Sure. Can we go back to that? I'll bring it up.
Sure. Yeah, we can go to the next one. So next is the new police vehicle purchase.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, we're trying to purchase 2 vehicles from Apple Ford. One is $36,259. That's the cost of the vehicle. The next vehicle. Going too fast. The next vehicle is sorry about that. This vehicle is $36,979. Then we had to outfit the vehicles. So we're going to finance everything through the company. The total for the outfit of the vehicle is $1,306. We also have a quote for the decals. And this is like for the radio systems, the lighting systems for all the vehicles, the security systems, the keyless entries. So we have for both vehicles, and I'll give you totals in a few minutes for everything. All right, this is the contract for First Government Leasing Company. This company allows us to lease for 7 years for the whole finance of the outfit of the vehicles, as well as the purchase of the vehicles, as well as delivery. The total amount that we want to finance is $104,001. Interest APR is $35,360.32. Total lease price would be $139,361.32. What we're going to do is we're going to finance this upfront. Our first payment is not to be to December 22nd of 2022. So that gives us time to actually wait on, not have to do any budget amendments. We can order the vehicle like tomorrow to go ahead and get the vehicles probably by June. Our yearly payments for both vehicles be $19,908.76 per year, and we do one payment per year, or annual payment of that amount. It will begin on the first payment is begin on 12/01/2022. What we do is we're also applying for a grant under USDA. It's called Matching Funds Grant. We are applying with that next week. Next week, we're putting that into the system to be rewarded half of the amount of both vehicles. And what we're trying to do is pay off the vehicles as soon as possible before the first payment in reference to the half off to reduce our monthly payment, our yearly payments. We also have a no penalty clause inside our agreement. They will not penalize us if we go ahead and pay off the vehicles beforehand. So that's what we're trying to do tonight, is try to get permission to go into a contract with the lease agreement to purchase 2 vehicles for the fleet. I can answer any more questions if anybody have any questions.
Commissioner Givens.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I thought that we had, and I thought that the commission had kind of wanted to go down the direction of a hybrid vehicle or electric vehicle. Is this a hybrid or electric vehicle?
Both vehicles are hybrids. Yes, sir. I could go back up there and show you.
Oh, okay. I wasn't, because
Yeah,
I see that they're SUVs, and I see that
the hybrid SUVs, because they don't sell the sedans no more. Everything is trucks now. And I can take it up to it real quick.
It says hybrid on the first
Right.
page.
Right, it's hybrid.
okay.
Hybrid engine right here. 3.3 liter V6 hybrid engine.
Okay. Yeah, and the other thing is, I'm not, I mean, I heard what you said about paying the vehicles off early, which I definitely would do. And the commission needs to kind of make sure they put forth that effort, because $36,000 in interest and APR interest is absolutely insane. I mean, it's insane when we have the money. When you don't have the money, then yeah, you could stretch stuff out and, but Cottage City has the money, and we definitely don't need to put ourselves in a position. I understand what you're trying to do in regards to the grant and everything, but I don't want us to lose focus if the grant is awarded. And if the grant is not awarded, we still need to go and pay those vehicles off with no prepayment penalty, because instead of you're paying for a whole nother car at 36,000.
Right, exactly. What we're doing now is
I understand. I know that this is a comment that the commission needs to understand, not you.
Right.
I think you have explained it, but the commission makes sure they need to understand that they'll be willing to go into it, understanding that they need to go ahead after you apply for the grant, if it's granted or not, regardless of the fact whether it's granted or not, the commission needs to pay the vehicle off, as opposed to, and without prepayment penalty, as opposed to paying, stretching it out over 7 years, paying $36,000. That's it. That's all I was trying to say. I yield back.
And to be clear, what Commissioner Gibbons is trying to say is that what we're trying to do is push off our payments so we don't have to do a budget amendment this year. So to do that, we had to do a lease. And what we did was, for our first payment be real low, we went, and just in case we don't get awarded the grant this year, we can apply for the grant again the following year to make sure that we go ahead and pay the vehicle off as soon as possible. And that's what he said that we must do, because not, we would get killed with the interest. So he's right. So that's why I'm trying very hard to ask you, with the speed camera money that's coming in, and also in reference to trying to get the grants, we want to pay this off as soon as possible. And that's why I made sure we got in a contract, we would not be penalized if we pay off the vehicles early.
Okay, and I guess my only other question or concern is, I'm a little bit frustrated with the fleet as far as the color coordination. What are we doing from the commission perspective?
We
Are
keep
we
the
going
same color.
with silver? Or are we going with gray? I mean, are we going with white? Because we
Silver.
kind of got
Silver. It's
Okay.
silver.
okay.
He just couldn't
Okay,
put silver. He couldn't put silver on the diagram page, so it's gonna be silver. You see up here, the color of the vehicle is silver.
No, that's what the question had opted for before. I just want to make sure that we're gonna eventually have a fleet that's all the same color at some
Right.
point in the
All
future.
the-
'Cause
all the
what
vehicles-
happens is, happens is when commissioners don't say anything, and no offense to you, Chief, but people order cars and they show up and they're different colors, and then people say, well, we didn't know, or something like, just something ridiculous, as opposed to, know what you were doing when you ordered that car, because and so that's why we're sitting up there with all these different color cars in our fleet, which several years ago, when they opted to switch over, the decision was made by the city commissioner to move with what you see, the graphics that you see now, as well as the color. So I
Right.
yield back. I just want to make sure that everyone's informed.
Yes,
I
to
yield
be clear with you, sir, right here on this page, right here, you see it's iconic silver. That's the silver they have. That's going to match the silver cars we have already. Also, I gave you a copy of the actual diagrams. The swoosh is going to be the same swoosh we already have. I think it's on here also. I think I'll go to the bottom. Is the actual picture of the vehicle, which is the swoosh. I think they have it on here. Yes, here it is right here. So that's gonna be the actual swoosh, and it's not gonna be a white vehicle. It'll be a silver vehicle that matches the Cruiser 100 we have already. Same decal, same diagram, same color, silver.
Chief, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Okay, getting back to the interest. So on page 9, where it has the interest and APR is 35,360. You're saying if we pay it now, we won't have to pay that interest?
That's correct. The interest is how long the loan is. The faster we pay off, the less interest we pay.
So then, once we pay it off, the total lease price is not gonna be the 139. It's gonna be something else.
Right, because it'd be the paid off at the time of the payoff. The interest is drawn out through the whole course of the lease. So if you go ahead and pay off the vehicle before the lease is up, you will subtract the interest that is going to be obtained later on. You won't get penalized by paying early. Actually, you will actually reduce your costs, your bottom line costs by paying early. So you won't pay that extra interest.
Okay, and these cars are both hybrid, so we can use the charging station to
No,
charge them?
it works like the town manager's car. You use
So
gas,
it's hap-
use fuel, but what happens is while it's running, it uses the battery.
So it's not a full electric car then?
It's not full electric, it's a hybrid. It's half electric, half on gas. It's like the town manager's car.
Okay, but how do you charge the battery?
By the gas. When it starts up, it charges the battery itself, and then once you stop at a stop sign, it cuts off. When you idle, it cuts off, use the battery power. When you driving a certain speed, it goes into a electrical mode where it actually uses the battery instead of the gas. Only time the gas will kick in when the battery goes low. So what it does, the engine is set up to the point where the batteries get down to a certain level, the engine will turn on and using the fuel to actually recharge the battery. Once the battery is charged to a certain point, it goes back to electric.
Okay, thank you. So, all right. Is there any other discussion in regards to the two vehicles, the purchase of the two vehicles?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask real quick. So the 104,000, that's including all of the equipment inside and the sirens and all that, right?
That's correct. What we have to do is we don't want any money come to us. The leasing company will pay our vendors. So we won't get into a problem of receiving any capital during this budget cycle. So instead of, once we sign the contract, when the vehicles are delivered to us, the leasing company will send a check directly to Ford Motor Company, Ford Company. Then once they finish the upfit, the leasing company will send a check to the leasing, the decal and uplift company. So what it does is there's no money will flow into our accounts at all. So we won't have to do any budget amendments.
So
I
this
have a
is-
question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, so and I hear that. I hear you, Chief. I'm a little bit for two things. One is more so common. The other thing is more of a question. In years past, we've always gone through. Just want to make sure we've gone through the actual dealer, correct? And where we only paying $1 over whatever the list, and then that's what we've been told. So I don't know if we're actually paying more. Are we actually paying more than $1, or because this is definitely different. This is definitely a different setup as far as how it's explained right now. I just want to make sure that this is not. I mean, this is different. So I just want to make sure that I'm understanding it is to be different.
No, what we're doing is we're not going through Ford Motor Credit Company. We're not going through Ford Motor Credit Company.
Right.
We're
Okay,
going
that's
through,
what I mean.
right, we're going through government leasing.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
and government leasing been around for
so-
over 35 years. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, so yeah, so before we always gone through four corners. So without the prepayment penalty, I'm a little bit like skeptical as to, I mean, not from our perspective, but how does the company make any money? Because my thing is, where is their fee involved in all of this? Because they're loaning money. Essentially, what they're doing is they're loaning money, and I see it at the end at 36,000 after 7 years. That will be potential profit. But if there's no prepayment penalty, then they don't make any money. And that's where I'm suspect.
No, they make money every month. Every month you get interest on your money. So every month the interest accumulates. So if they draw out for 7 years, that's how much interest you do pay per month, totaling up to that last amount where you see that 35, whatever it is. what they're doing is they get interest every month. So as long as we go ahead and draw it out, the more interest they will get into their pocket. So you still got to pay the vehicle off, but you are requiring interest every month. So it's almost like
Okay.
a credit. It's almost like a credit card. So we have a nation,
Right.
I guess a credit card. As long as you
Right.
pay it off once you get that bill, you don't get no
Right.
interest. But if you let it go over the month, you start accumulating interest. So yes, they make the
Okay.
money about how long we keep it open.
Okay, and you said we're in the process of trying to apply for a grant at this
Yeah,
juncture?
I'm working on it right now. We should be able to set it out by next week.
And can you inform the commission, just so that we can kind of be all on the same page, if you know, how much for both vehicles are we paying per month in interest for this potential deal?
We're not paying per month, we're paying per year. So what happens, they're gonna
Paying
make
per year, how much per year?
19, I have it open. It's 19,
No, not in interest, not 19,000 in interest. No,
well, not interest, but I mean, I'm talking about the total. It breaks it down.
no, I'm only interested in how much are we paying in interest? Because that's where we have an opportunity to have savings created as to the longer we go, of course. So every month, you're saying it's by the year. So automatically we will be
Paying
subject
12 months
to
of
a
interest.
1 year for 1 years of interest.
Right,
So I guess if you divide it it's a 7-year program.
yes,
So what 7 goes into 36? I don't really know. Is it 5? Is that right? Is it 5? So it's $5,000, right?
right,
So it's $2,500 per car in interest per year. So and that's fine if you get the grant. But if you don't get the grant, we still have to pay the car off, is what I want the commissions to understand. I mean, that's a worth taking a chance, because if we didn't have this an opportunity for a grant, I would say I wouldn't even be discussing this with you guys. I wouldn't advocate to lease anything. I would say go in the coffers, get the money out, and pay the car off the back. Why throw good money out the window when you don't have to? We could use that $5,000 on something else,
right.
you know.
And reason, this is my understanding, sir. The reason why I'm doing this way is because it gives us a chance to use the grant. Because once we start spending money, we cannot get the matching funds. What we're doing right now is going agreement. Our first payment is not till I spoke to the USDA agent the other day in reference to the grant. As long as we go ahead and show that we purchased the vehicle, we can apply for the grant. As long as we within that year moves, we can actually do what's called it's called a matching fund. So a matching fund will pretty much pay one of the vehicles off totally. So that's what we're trying to shoot for, and that saves the town over $36,000.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Right.
Any other questions for the chief?
I had a question. Did we, I may have been messing with my phone, but did we already vote to waive the competitive bidding requirements for the speed camera system?
No, we skipped that one because chief has to bring up those documents. So we went to the next item. We'll come back to that.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions in regards to the fleet cars?
No.
Okay, are we ready to take the vote? Well, first, is there a motion? I'm sorry. Is there a motion to purchase the 2 vehicles?
So moved.
You have to say the amount.
I have it up on the screen.
The upper left-hand corner, total cash price.
Total cash price, yes, ma'am.
Okay. I move that we purchase 2 vehicles for 2 2022 Ford Interceptors for our police fleet in the amount of $104,001.
She has to go into, she also has to go into a lease agreement.
Yeah, discussion before we go,
Yes,
before you
sir.
complete that. If Kevin could chime in, because I don't know if you've already discussed it with him. If you've already discussed it with him, then it's fine. But I want to make sure that this is within the parameters, because you're talking about money, I guess, being offset, but we're voting on it now. You know what I'm saying? So Kevin, can you speak to the situation, this setup?
Madam Chair and Commissioners, I have not been privy to any of these documents or this purchasing arrangement. So I cannot not opine in any way, shape, or form on the legal sufficiency or whether this comports with law or whether it comports with the charter or anything else. I have no cognizance of this arrangement. It has been brought to my attention. In other words, you're going to be flying under the auspice of the chief alone on this one. Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Chief.
okay, this information was sent to the town manager before she left. Also, we are piggybacking off of the same, the reason why we don't do competitive bidding for this, because we piggybacking off Mount Rainier, Bladensburg, and other police
It's not a
departments.
little better in here.
What he's talking about right now, if he has,
On.
and
I'll
what
burn some more.
Mr. Best is saying right now is he hasn't seen the lease agreement. Hello?
We can hear you, Chief. Keep going.
Yes, he's saying that he has not seen the lease agreement. And like I said, it's, we are piggybacking off another bid that was done last year. And that's Mount Rainier and Bladensburg is getting their cars. So we piggyback off of their agreement. Our day is different. We're doing First Government Leasing Company. And Mr. Best, as he's saying right now, he hasn't seen the lease agreement.
Excuse me, Chief, I can speak for myself, and I'm telling you, I haven't reviewed any of these documents. If you're talking about the procurement and the waiver of procurement under the charter, because you're doing a cooperative purchase with another local government, you know, that's fine. You really don't even need to do that. You have a very liberal waiver provision on procurement in your charter. You can waive the competitive bidding requirements pretty readily. All I'm saying is I'm not been privy to any of these contractual documents, and I've not read the lease purchase agreement, Madam Chair.
Yes, I believe we heard you the first time, Mr. Best. You haven't
No,
seen the documents.
So, and I get that. And so I guess what I'm saying is based on, because we're just now seeing them too, Mr. Best. And so I'm saying based on just the fact of talking about offsetting the cost for future, right? As it's being, so that there's no budget amendment necessary and so on and so forth, but yet we're voting on it now. Is all of that within, I mean, that's just a legal question as to, is it allowable under I guess, whatever laws that are, you know, are we following proper procedure, lawful procedures?
Well, I think what you're asking is that are there appropriated funds in the current FY budget to handle, this is a multi-year contract or lease agreement, lease purchase agreement. So I guess the question is, and I would defer it to the acting town manager, where in the budget, what line item is handling this appropriation? I would defer that to the town manager. But otherwise, yeah, it would be permissible. You can purchase capital items over multiple year period. And you know, then the question really is, do you have an appropriation for that fiscal year that you're in, Madam Chair?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Best. Actually, the chief sent us all of these documents back on December 29th?
No, I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying, I'm just now
No,
looking
no,
at
no,
it.
no. You said this the first time we saw these documents, so I'm just making sure everyone realizes it's not the first time we saw them. We've had them for a while.
Okay,
You know, it's the first time I saw him. It's the first time I saw him. So
well,
my
what,
apologies.
I have a question. Do we need a budget amendment?
no,
Because I don't think this is in the current budget, is it?
no, we don't need a budget amendment. But I did, I spoke to Todd Frankenfield, and I asked him about, could we do it this way? Because he said other departments and other agencies have done it this way. What it does is that we deferring payments until next budget cycle. So what we're doing is
Okay.
give us permission to actually purchase the vehicles, but the first payment is not until next fiscal year, which when March or February, when I do my budget proposal to the commission, I will put the 19,000 into that budget for FY 2022. I mean 2023.
No.
And then the remainder of it?
No, the remainder of it, not 20,000, because regardless of whether we get the grant or not, we need to be paying those vehicles off regardless.
Yeah, well, I understand that. I'm just making an example. I'm just throwing numbers out, making an example that that's when I ask for the money when I do my my 2023 budget request. That's when I put it in. So you don't have to do no budget amendment this fiscal. That's to answer your question.
Madam Chair, I don't understand why you would enter into a contract if you're not obligating funds to be paid on the contract in the current fiscal year. If you're not obligating funds or appropriating funds under this current budget, and you can't point to a line item to pay funds out for this lease purchase agreement, then then the whole thing should just be held in abeyance until you get into the proper fiscal year, Madam Chair.
Is Mr. Frankenfield still on the line?
I believe so.
Yeah, I'm here. Comments that I don't see the issue. So first lease payment is due 12/1 of 22. So feels to me like we should budget for it in the fiscal year 23 budget, no payments in the current fiscal year. So is no need for appropriation. I think what the chief is looking for here is get the order started, get the cars into production, and then we can appropriate the funds with next year's budget resolutions.
So and I get it now. So now I understand. So, and I think this will solve Kevin's concern as well. So what we need to be voting on is to a consensus from the commission to enter into a contract for vehicles to be purchased, enter the contract for vehicles to be ordered, and delivered, and and will be paid in the following next year's budget, because we're not actually voting to spend any money under this vote. But you got to order them, right? And you got to have a vote. You have to absolutely have a vote on something, because if not, then you can't be. Then anybody can just be ordering stuff and then having to pay for them. Then the town's locked in and obligated to pay for stuff at a later time. So appropriate procedure would be to vote on to give the permission to allow for the vehicles to be ordered and built out for delivery. I yield back.
Okay, so is everyone clear on what we're voting on tonight in regards to the vehicles? And I'm speaking to the commissioners.
Yes.
Okay, so
I guess
Commissioner, go ahead, Commissioner Young.
my only question would be, and I, as a practical matter, I don't have any problem with doing this, but theoretically, when we pass the final budget, we could have 2 new commissioners. And so I guess the question that pops to mind is whether if those 2 new commissioners didn't go along with this and we didn't manage to get the votes to include this in next year's budget, where we'd be at that point. But I guess that's something we can deal with at a later date. I think the likelihood is that that would not happen. Kevin, I assume you don't see any problem with going forward in this manner.
Like I said, I really can't, I'm not in a position to opine very much on this. I haven't read any of these documents. I don't know what the deal is. I can't give legal
No, I mean,
advice.
just on the simple question of whether we can take a vote to spend money that won't be appropriated until next year's budget. I just don't want us to get in trouble later on down the line. So just that simple question, without you looking at the contract and so forth, that the principle of voting on spending money that hasn't yet been appropriated because we haven't yet done the next year's budget.
Yeah, I don't see how you can enter into some obligation that dedicates, obviously this is a contractual agreement. It has monetary significance and it obligates the town. If you breach this contract 6 months later and decide to rescind it, is there no cost to the town? And if there is, then those costs, no matter how small, need to be appropriated. They need to be delineated as an appropriation in the budget. I think there's also an ancillary contract involved here that involves outfitting the vehicle with lights and decals. I'm not sure. I haven't been privy to that either. I haven't read it. But you know, if that's a binding contract, I assume if it's a binding contract, it binds the town to some sort of monetary consideration in the present fiscal year. So, you know, and I really can't opine because I've not been privy to any of this. I haven't been asked to look at any of this. And you're spending over $100,000 of the taxpayer dollars, and there's been no legal review of these documents. So you proceed under your own risk.
Okay, now we scaring people. If you want me to go ahead and just give Mr. Best these documents for him to go review, I would do so. But right now, this is something that we normally do in all the police forces I've been with. If you want to send it to your attorney to them review it, we can do so. I have no problem with that. It's the point where we're going back and forth saying the same thing. But if you want him to give you a full opinion, well, he's saying that he needs to see the documents. But right now, we talk about something standard. The leasing company will pay all the vendors during this fiscal year to make sure that the vehicle is being outfitted and being delivered to us by at least June or July. So these vehicles won't be here in our June, July. The leasing company, when we sign this contract, will pay all the vendors through them. We won't be paying them. All the money will be going to the vendors. We won't have our first payment to next year. This is a common practice. It's not something that I'm just throwing up in the air. Mr. Todd Frankenfield just told you the same thing, that, you know, there's a common practice. It's nothing illegal we're doing. But if, like I said again, if you want me to send the documents to Mr. Best for him to review, for y'all feel confident with it, I have no problem with it. I don't. But we have to make a decision so we can move on to the next agenda item.
This is Commissioner Young again. I think it would be good practice to run contracts by our lawyer. You know, I'm not totally clear in my mind on how urgent it is that we act on this right away, if we're going to lose it if we don't act on this right away. It's an unusual situation in terms of us paying for it in a future budget that we haven't yet voted on. So, you know, in general, I don't have any objection to our doing this, but and I don't know what the other commissioners think about it. I think just in terms of in the future, it would be good to run contracts by our lawyer. But what do the other commissioners think? I mean, the likelihood is we will approve the money in the next budget. And by that time, we'll have more information on the ARPA funds available or whatever other grant funds we have.
I'm okay with what the majority agrees to do tonight, but I just want to make a comment. I thought we had discussed this contract in the work session last week. So I'm a little confused why we're going into all of this tonight. I thought we went through all of this last week.
And the reason why I have a problem with the whole thing is because we're adding things into it that's really don't supposed to be added into it. I know it's a contract. I know y'all want to send to Mr. Best, but y'all should have told me that last week. Mr. Best could have had it last Wednesday or Wednesday at the latest after we had a meeting Tuesday. Another thing on top of this, the reason why I want this to go in right now, because I have to apply for the grant. I need hard numbers. Here are the hard numbers right now. Next month, these numbers can change. So do you want me to apply for the grant now, or do you want me to hold off and see if you can apply the grant later? That's the problem we have. And that's why I keep on saying that. I gave y'all the information up front. I didn't hide it. I didn't sneak it in. I talked about it last Tuesday. The only thing the commission had to do is say, you know what, Tony, send it to Mr. Best. We could have done that. And now we're here on Wednesday having this discussion we should have had Tuesday.
Okay, so, all right, so I just so we're clear, I didn't see no documents last Tuesday. Now, maybe you emailed them or whatever, but what we're seeing today, what you're providing on the screen today is not what was presented last Tuesday. The idea that the discussion about two vehicles was discussed, but you know, but the total talking about interest rate and all that, and the additional cost for sirens and stuff like that was not actually seen on paper. So I think what you have to understand, and everyone needs to understand, anytime, and I think Ann makes a point here, and it should be a standard practice, especially when we're talking about large sums of money. Any contract should go through the attorney, and that shouldn't even have to be discussed amongst the commission, whether they want to or not. I mean, it should be a common practice. I understand your frustration, Chief, because you feel like we had kind of discussed it, and we did discuss it in some juncture. But now I'm actually seeing the numbers. I want to make sure that, because what will happen is we go and we do some XYZ. Then Mr. Best has the opportunity to review this later. And then he'll say, you know what? He may say, I'm not saying he will, but he could say, you know what, you guys have violated such and such, and it's not a good common practice. And then that's not a position, that's not a wise position for us to be in as commissioners who sit up here as elected officials. We do bear some legal responsibility when we're spending town funds, and no one wants to be caught up into some legal matter later.
I agree. I agree. So I have a problem.
We don't want to frustrate you, and we do want you. I believe that we do want you to apply for the grant based on those numbers or whatever. And we're likely going to have. I think we have another meeting coming up. So I mean, if you have the opportunity to show Mr. Best whatever tomorrow or whatever, and we kind of get through it, and perhaps we can go ahead and do that at our very next meeting before, so we don't have to wait a whole nother month. But I think it is wise, as a common practice and as best practices, that we follow some type of procedure, because you know what, I don't want my name on a piece of paper downtown either. No one on the commission does.
No problem, sir. So what I do, let's go ahead and table this. What we do is I'll go ahead and send Mr. Best all the information I have. I'll make sure that he goes through it and give us a idea of what direction we should go with it.
Okay.
All right. So we table it.
All right, Chief, you ready to discuss the speed camera? Chief, did we lose you?
No, ma'am, I apologize. I thought I had my mute button off. What I'm gonna do is I have to go off of this page right here and pull it up. If you can go to the next slide item or next item that you want to discuss, I can have it up and come back to me, if you don't mind.
The next item is the ARPA funds for the computers, for the vehicle cars, the fleet cars,
All
the
right.
tough book. So you're next.
Okay, well.
You want me to go to something else? I can skip down to the budget if you're not ready.
Yeah, go to something else, please.
Okay, let's go to the budget proposed dates. So hopefully everyone had a chance to look at those dates and we're all in agreement.
I think we set those to coincide with our meetings. Am I right about that?
Yeah, and we had Brittany correct the date on the first reader. She had missed the one. So instead of saying May 1st, now it now says May 11th. So if you want, I can read the dates. Review the budget is February 1st. General government administration budget is going to be February 16th. The public works budget will be March 1st. The police department budget will be March 16th. Budget review and tax rate will be on April 5th. A notice will go out after that meeting about the tax levy. Then we will have the budget hearing on May 3rd. And again, a notice will go out the week of April 11th. So that's to make sure the 2-week notice goes to the public for the hearing. The fair summary of the budget ordinance will be advertised the week of May 9th. And that's to ensure that it's advertised at least once prior to the date of the passage in the newspaper. Then on May 11th, we'll have the first reader, which Brittany corrected that date. And then on May 18th, we will do the budget adoption. And the budget ordinance will be advertised the week of the 23rd and making sure that it's published within the 10 days.
I had all those dates, but it'd be good to get out, whether in the minutes or some other document, the subject matter of each of the dates. I did not have that before.
Okay, well, we're recording now, so it'll be in the minutes.
Right, so it'll be, yeah, that's fine, great.
All right, so,
Point of order.
yes,
You
Mr.
need to
Givens.
You need to do something with the motion that was placed on the floor by Commissioner Armache so that Brittany can do the minutes properly.
Commissioner Amashe, you can withdraw your motion, although that you really didn't make it, you didn't complete it. But if you'd like to withdraw it, because all you said was so moved, and it wasn't a complete motion, but you can withdraw.
I actually did start to state it with details, so I will say that I withdraw my motion with regard to purchase of the police vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you. So next, Chief, you still need some more time, or you want me to go to the next item?
Next item, please.
Point
All
of
right,
order.
next.
I had a question, Madam Chair.
Yes.
On the schedule for the budget, it just seemed like that you were doing the final approval of the budget a little bit early. Can you enlighten me why you wouldn't do that in the month of June as opposed to the month of May?
When we discussed it last week in the work session, we were just trying to pick days, like Commissioner Young said, that were close to the days of our meetings.
Okay.
So that's how we came up with those dates.
And also that gives us time not to run into the last minute, so that if something were to come up, we have the opportunity to, have the more dates available to us. Typically.
Right, if we had to reset something.
Right, years past, we used to try to do it by the end of May. But just so recently, we wound up having to do them in June or whatever, but that wasn't the common practice in years past. It's always kind of been, we shoot for the end of May or the first week of June, so to speak. I yield back.
Any other questions, Mr. Best?
No, thank you for that explanation.
All right, so we'll go to the next item, which is the change order for the sidewalks. Mr. Pinckney,
Madam Chair, we can move that to next month's meeting. We're still having issues with receiving the change order.
thank you. So we're gonna table that for next month. So we'll move on down the line. So next on the agenda is new business. So up first is Black History Month. I know Miss Shirley's not on tonight,
I
or
can speak on that.
Danielle.
I can speak on that.
You can speak on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
All right, I had a meeting with Ms. Shirley, and we discussed on how we're gonna address February due to the COVID problems we have with the COVID variant going through the town. And so we're not gonna have any events during February, in-person events. What we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of honor our Prince Georgians that are African-American, that have dedicated their time, their efforts, and were the first in some kind of aspect in their fields in Prince George's County. Like, for instance, we're gonna honor Wayne Carey, first African-American county executive, a couple of athletes like, Kevin Durant, Sugar Ray Leonard. So each week we will have some kind of write-up about the individual that is African-American, that is a Prince Georgian, that has given something to our community or was the first. So that's how we're going to do our dedications each week to 2 or 3 individuals that are Prince Georgians, to show our young people that are African-American in the town that, hey, you can be someone special. You can do things that, that anything you want to do, because you have people that are from Prince George's County that has made it and have done something great. So that's the aspect we're going to do. We're going to put on our websites, we're going to put on social media platforms. That's what we're going to be doing in the month of February. We're pushing back our trip to probably the end of April or mid-April. So that way, we don't have to worry about the flu season and cold season. That we just really see, how this variant pans out. If it does reduce a little bit, the numbers go down, we can actually take a trip. Right now, we have 2 trips that she's looking into trying to put together. One is to Frederick Douglass House downtown, and then another one is to a museum up there in Montgomery County. So that's what we're looking at right now. Once we get further information, I'll make sure I send it out to the commission.
Chief, I don't know if she mentioned this to you, but she did tell me that she would like to have Professor Gibbs, who spoke to us some years ago, I don't know, maybe even 10 years ago, he made an excellent presentation. I don't know whether that's something that could be done, through a Zoom meeting. And I don't know whether you've talked to her more recently than I have, but that was something that she had wanted to do as well. That may be something that could be put off until we could do it in person.
Yeah.
But,
well, we did discuss that, ma'am, and she's trying to see if we can do a Zoom up front in February with him, or push it back to the day before the trip, when they do the trip. So she's still working out the details with that. We're supposed to meet again Friday, not this Friday, because she has to go out of town. She said either Tuesday or Wednesday next week, she would get with me to let me know exactly more fine detail if he could present a Zoom during February or push it back to when we have the trip. So we're still working on that, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
okay. Yeah. And I highly recommend him. He was really good when she brought him before.
Yes, ma'am. So we did discuss that. She's trying to figure out if it's be appropriate for a Zoom, or would it be better to wait back to when we do our trip in April.
It would be nice to have him in person, because I don't know how many people will call in on Zoom.
Right.
So sounds like you're keeping it open for that. Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions or comments regarding Black History Month? Hearing no comments, we'll move to the next item, which is a letter of support for Sustainable Maryland. I'll go ahead and take that one. So as you know, we just recently got our recertification from Sustainable Maryland in regards to our green team. This is a letter of support for Sustainable Maryland. They do a lot to help the municipalities out in being green and being environmentally friendly and all that good stuff. And we did sign the same letter last year. And it's just a letter of support so that they can receive funding out of the governor's budget for this upcoming budget cycle. So if there's any discussion or any questions, we can discuss it now. Or if you want to just go ahead and agree to have them use Cottage City's name as a letter of support.
I agree.
Givens, I agree.
Okay, I believe that was Commissioner Young and Givens. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay,
And I agree also.
all
Absolutely.
right. Thank you, and I agree as well. So, Chief, can you just make sure that that's the letter of support is done for us?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and then next under new business is MLK Day Peace Walk and Ride. And this is a flyer we received from the state attorney's office asking for our support and participating in the walk on this Monday, the 17th, which is Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. So before we agree to show any support or participation, I wanted to bring it in front of the commissioners to see if that's something we want to do, if we agree or disagree. I know I received the email in regards to the participation in the parade. I believe Commissioner Young also sent it out to everyone. So I don't know if everyone had a chance to check their emails or not, but it was sent out to everyone today. So do we want to support or do we really don't have any opinion? What's the will of the
It
commission?
sounds like a good event. I'd be interested in the ride part because I don't think I'm going to be able to do the walk part.
Yeah, I sent the email to Mr. Wilson, Ms. Brave Boy's assistant. And I haven't gotten a response back from him yet, but I wanted to know, is it just, us giving our support for them to use our town logo? Because that's what they're asking. They want to put our town logo on the flyer. And is that all that they're asking, or they're asking for us to, I think they also want to know if we want to be in the parade and then participate in the walk. So they're going to start off, I believe, from Capitol Heights, and I think they're going to end at Glen Arden Municipal Building. So I'm not sure how long that is, but for those who want to walk, I guess it's, maybe not too long. For those who want to drive, I guess that's why they're doing a walk and ride parade. So I'm in favor of them allowing them to use our logo. It sounds like, Ann, you're in favor of it. Anyone
I'm in
else?
favor, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Givens in favor, yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll make sure that we let Mr. Wilson know that they can use Cottage City's logo on the flyer. All righty. So next is the Garden Summit request, which I'm going to take that one. So as you know, our garden is pretty famous, I would say. We get a lot of compliments from a lot of different organizations. And we've used a lot of the events that we've done in the garden to help us gain our certification for Sustainable Maryland. So I was approached by Brittany Drakeford in regards to having a garden summit and helping other communities start their community gardens. And I've met with, me and Miss Barber have met with, when she was here, have met with Kim Rush. And she's from, I believe, the community. I can't think of the name of the organization right now, but it's the Food Equity Council, I believe is who it is. And it's another organization, but they want to put on a summit and they want to showcase our community garden to help other communities start their garden. So it would be a summit. I think it would be maybe a day and a half. I think that's the goal. And they're going to put up most of the money. So I think, and all together, it would be like maybe like 3,000, but they would like for us to do an in-kind donation of $1,000. So before I agree to that, I want to run it by the commission to see if this is something we want to do. I think it's a great idea.
So you're asking, because they have a budget. Are you asking us to take the money out of their budget? You're asking us to add more money, an additional $1,000 to what has kind of been already earmarked, budgeted for the garden?
Well, actually, I wouldn't ask to take it out of the garden's budget because it's not just for the garden, it's for the whole town. The garden is just going to be the feature, but it's about.
So I'm confused. Is it about teaching other towns how to do the garden? I mean, how does that fit the town?
So it would help with our green team and our sustainability program. It would help other communities, other municipalities, or just organizations who want to start a community garden. Again, it would put us on the map as far as doing outreach, and it's a whole lot of different things it's going to touch. And I don't think we should just pull money from the garden. I wouldn't want to do it.
So I'm still confused because it's like there's no money in the budget for it. So you're asking us to take $1,000 and come up with $1,000 for a program that has no Cottage City community-based involvement to teach other towns how to do a garden because we did a garden first. I mean, I want to help other towns, but you're talking about taking our funds to put on a program to teach somebody else, and it has no, so that we can get some accolades for a green team. I gotta understand better than that. Right now I'm not on board with that. I don't know what the other commissioners are thinking, but I can't see it.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Do we have the money in our whatever kind of fund that we can use for things like this? Do we have the money in the budget in a sort of informal fund that hasn't been designated?
We don't have a slush fund. That's a slush fund. What you're talking about is a slush fund. We don't have a slush fund. We have things that are identified.
I thought we had something similar to that, though.
We have a earmarked outline for miscellaneous, but that's more, the miscellaneous is to be able to receive money. It's my understanding, but there's no slush fund to be able to just take money and put towards something. It's got to come from somewhere. It's got to come from somewhere.
Has anyone looked at the budgets to see? I was thinking that we had something that we could have taken, that we could take it from. But
Actually, I
the
think
budget
we
fund.
can. Actually, I think we can use the ARPA money, but I need to verify that.
I mean, if you're talking about using ARPA money, I'd be okay with it, but taking it out of taxpayer fund dollars, I can't get on board with that.
We can actually use it on the ARPA fund. We just have to tie it to mental wellness. When people eat well, they're mentally stable, as well as doing some activities outside will actually help them with the cabin fever issues we have with people staying inside. So we could tie it to the ARPA funds. We just have to write it up and have a narrative ready to input why we spent the money. So it's a point, I can research that for y'all and get back to y'all.
Yeah, and again, but just to reiterate, now that I think about it twice, I still don't see how it benefits our residents. It benefits somebody else.
Well,
It benefits our residents because a lot of our residents are part of the garden. It definitely benefits our residents as well.
To be in a summit to teach other people how to do a garden.
You don't think gardeners enjoy talking about what they do?
Well, first of all,
it's a lot of gardeners who are looking forward to doing this. They can't wait for it to get started.
Right. I get that, but you're talking about spending $1,000 on something that doesn't benefit the community at whole. And for me, it's still a tough sell. And I know you guys can dress it up and put lipstick on it. It's still a pig to me, so
well, actually we can
what's the money going to be used for?
It's going to be
specifically.
Well, some of it'll probably help with maybe because they're going to have some guest speakers, so it's probably going to help give probably a donation to the speakers. That's part of where it'll go. And then you have to advertise, so you have to have money for advertising.
So is this something gonna be open to the Price City residents also, that they can come also?
It's going to be open to everyone and anyone who wants to participate, not just Cottage City.
Okay, well, what we can do is we can package it up to the point where, we can benefit from it also by allowing our citizens to come learn how to have a garden. And maybe next time we open up the lots, we have more people might be interested because they're being educated. So we can put something together.
Yeah, I mean, because you have people who have gardens in their backyards or who want to garden. I mean, since the pandemic, a lot of people have gotten involved with gardening. It goes towards mental health, with health and wellness, eating good. I mean, it's so many benefits from having this program. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to do it, but I get the money thing, but I don't see how it wouldn't help the community.
No, you're missing a point. I'm saying you're putting it on the purpose. What's the purpose of the summit? You identify the purpose of the summit is to teach other towns how to do a community garden, which if you want to do that, that's fine. But this budget, it's around $3,000. It's a hard concept for me to understand.
Ask for $3,000.
I know. No. I know.
I'm giving that
doesn't. The budget's still $3,000, and the in-kind donation you ask from the town is $1,000. So what I'm saying is, for me, it's very difficult for me to understand and see how a class setting or some type of seminar could come to $3,000 in total, and $1,000 out of that being from our taxpayer dollars. When the key players to creating a garden is, and with all due respect to the people that are at the garden now, that's fine. But the key players to creating the garden were Mark Haskell, were Reverend Addison, and Aileen McChesney. Those are the key players who put that project together. And without them, I don't see how, and I get what you guys got now. But you cannot dismiss, if you're going to have this to teach other people, it's very difficult for me to understand how you could successfully do that without the people who actually did it. You guys are
well, how do you know that Mark isn't? How do you know Mark isn't a part of it?
I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying Aileen's not. I'm not saying Reverend Adams is not. I'm saying you would still need the key players. That's what I'm saying. Period. So I don't know who's involved. I don't know if you're involved. I don't know if whoever's involved. I don't know anything because none of that has been presented. But what I am saying is that I know that these are the people that are integral because I was there, and they're the ones who kind of who and as well as Kaiser, because they're the ones who funded it. So a representative from Kaiser would be, and so I don't know if all that's been kind of put into thought. It may have.
All of that has been discussed. All of that has been discussed. We're going to invite BPI. We're going to invite in addition to DPI, we're going to invite like all the people you would need So like, we might even invite Public Works, because you definitely need someone from your maintenance department. You need someone from permits, you need someone from the municipalities, because you need the land. So it's gonna be a overall overall summit on how to start up a garden, whether it be a community garden or your own little personal garden in your backyard. And it's going to involve several different people, several different organizations, and it's open to anyone who wants to participate. So to put something on like that, you do need some money to get started. They've already agreed to provide the refreshments. They're going to do the advertising. They're going to promote it. They're going to do all of that. They just ask for an in-kind donation. If you don't want to do the donation, you don't have to do it. They still want to do the summit. They're just asking. So if the answer is no, then I'll take that back to them and let them know that you guys said no.
I think it sounds like a great program. And however we do it, I think it would be good to, whether we do it from ARPA funds or wherever we can get it, I think it'd be good to provide that donation.
Commissioner
I
Armstrong.
agree. I agree. I agree. I think it sounds like a great idea. And just to speak to one of Commissioner Gibbons' points with regard to even, the idea of how does it benefit our townspeople to teach other people how to do something like this, because for all of the reasons that have been listed, and because when you teach something, you get even better at doing it yourself. And so that will also, help those people that are creating a garden. Plus, as Commissioner Wheatley said, you're also teaching people how to create gardens in their backyard, which is helpful to them because they can grow food for themselves, and it's helpful to our environment because then there are more pollinators. So thank you. It sounds like a great project, and I'm interested to hear more about it.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Bass.
what was the line item in the budget identified for this appropriation?
I believe we can use the ARPA funds for this summit, but I want to verify that.
Yes, ma'am.
If not, then we could always use the arts and education line item as well.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I will create a narrative to use the ARPA funds. So it shouldn't be no problem using the ARPA funds, because I just read some things and I think it's tied to mental health. So we should be fine. And we also need to actually have more variety of things in the ARPA funds being used anyway. So I think this would be a good event to actually support with the ARPA funds.
Thank you, Chief. All right, so it sounds like there's a consensus to participate in the summit and to make the in-kind donation of $1,000. Mr. Best, do we need to actually take a vote for that because it is $1,000?
Yes, yeah, you do need to take a vote. And could you tell me what line item of the ARPA funds are referenced in the budget?
I think it's 5011, but I'm not sure. I had to pull up the financial reports again. Let's see, what's the number for ARPA? Yeah. Okay. Okay, it looks like it's 1100 is that line item number. I think that's it. Am I looking? No, it's 4139. That's the line item number. Did you hear me, Mr. Beth?
Yes, I did. Thank you. I'm looking for it, but I'm not finding it.
It's on page 2 of the financials for this month.
The budget versus the actuals. FY
Yes,
22,
yes,
page 2 of that.
yes. 4139.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. So the budget line item number is 4139 for the ARPA funds. I'll go ahead and make the motion that we, that the town of Cottage City allocates $1,000 from budget line item 4139 ARPA funds to the Garden Summit to be held later this year. I believe they're shooting for March or April.
Madam Chair, can I comment?
Yes,
This is Todd Frankenfield. So that budget line you referenced, that's a revenue budget line. So we want to look for something in the 5,000s. And when we talk about expenditures or appropriations, I put it in the chat, there's 2,500 in the community garden budget, 100 spent year to date. To me, that's more suitable.
I would, well, I don't really want to take it out of the community garden. But
Okay.
I mean,
Let me look
Yeah.
for another option then.
yeah,
Well, if you don't, well, then I'm a little bit confused. If you have, anytime
I'm
you have
sorry,
a-
go ahead.
anytime you have a budget, you're supposed to offset it with an expense. So how are we, have we started to delineate a line item under ARPA, under the expenditure aspect of the budgetary process? Since we already have it on the revenue side, then it needs to sit somewhere on the budget, the expenditure side.
There's another one. I saw it when I was looking through the report. I just don't know exactly where it's at. Let's see if I can find it. I
Could it
thought I
fall
saw-
under arts and education?
That was
which
my,
is
that's
now-
the other option. If we don't do the ARPA, we could do arts and education. I'm fine with either one. I just didn't want to pull money out of the garden because they have projects that they want to do as well, other than.
And I don't
the
want to pull
summer
it out
one.
of arts and education. So figure out where you find it on the ARPA side. So let's not do that. Just because that's your baby, the garden thing. Let's not take it from other people's opportunity to do things within the arts and education. Go find it where it needs to be found and take it out of the appropriate budget.
Mr. Frankenfield.
Yes, sir.
All right, we discussed this the other day. Do we have line items associated with the ARPA funds yet? Because I know we put 2 bills in to be paid through the ARPA funds today. I forgot what line item that Brittany used to afford it to you. Have you and her discussed what line item we want to start putting these ARPA expenditures in?
No, I think we need to spell it out. So looking at the budget that's drafted, I don't see where it's itemized. I see the revenue, but I don't see where we itemize the expenses. So I think we need to spell it out.
Okay, well,
If you see the revenue, then was there a budget amendment made to insert the revenue aspect side
yes,
of it?
yes, I did.
Yes.
Yeah, you did.
Yes, we did that.
Okay, if that was done, you should be able to go back to the minutes and reference the expenditure aspect. Then I'm sure we did the expenditure side. You know, it would only make sense. Maybe we didn't follow the appropriate protocol, but that's what was supposed to have been done.
Uh,
I have
Well,
a
I'm
question.
pretty sure
Have
we
we,
did. Because
I have a
remember,
question.
we
Have
did
we,
the budget amendment. Remember, we did the budget amendment for the, specifically for the ARPA money? And Miss Barbara had all of that. She had the revenue and the expenditure in the table.
Well, since it's not going to be till March, why don't you go back, get that straight, and then come back in February and then have the opportunity to vote on it, and so that it'll be, so that we're not kind of guessing and playing, because right now, no one seems to be able to locate it. And if it's been, and I think it needs to be researched by Brittany, so that if this wasn't spelled out correctly, then she needs to go ahead and do that appropriately in regards to how it was voted and inserted into the budget.
Okay, I'm fine with
I,
doing it.
let me,
Go ahead, Ann, go ahead.
that's fine with me also, but I guess I have a question, and that is, we had 2,500 budgeted, I think, for arts and education, if I'm reading across right. And I just wonder how much we have actually spent of that, because this past year we've been, you know, homebound from COVID, and I would expect that there would be quite a bit of that money left. And so, you know, I'm not sure why we shouldn't, if we don't have it in usable ARPA funds yet, why we couldn't go ahead and say that we would take it out of arts and education if the ARPA funds aren't yet available. I don't know how soon the people who are planning this need to hear back from us, but that's just a thought.
Thank you. I'm fine with taking it out of arts and education. Commissioner Givens doesn't particularly want to take it out of arts and education.
Because when we start doing stuff like that, we begin to a slippery slope. And I hate this part of being on the commission, when we start, you know, people have pet projects and we start dipping into other things that has no intentions on coming from. So we need to respect the budget and respect the way we laid it out. You all sat up there and laid it out as you saw, and everyone agreed to appropriate the funding based on the particular programs. Now, if there's ARPA funds there, then we need to go after those so that you can spend those funds, you know, because as according to them, a lot of people don't know really where to spend the money for. So let's not go down that road and start taking it out of taxpayer dollars when you have the opportunity to take it from the ARPA fund, which I could concede to, because it's not actually coming straight from the West End, and that's not what the line item was designed for under arts and education.
I guess I was saying I'm fine with taking it out of the ARPA funds. If there's any need to decide earlier, it would seem to me that it would fall straight under education.
I think it falls under education as well, but again, I'm okay with waiting till next month.
If we can wait, then that's fine too.
Yeah, I'm okay with waiting till next month. All right, so let's go on to the next item. Chief, are you ready to go over the red camera?
yes, ma'am.
All right, you have the floor.
I'll share my screen. All right. Here's the contract for the speed monitoring system. And we go into effect as soon as we sign it. I'll go down to the actual prices. Well, this one is going to be pretty much a percentage. Here's the terms right here. The terms of the agreement shall commence a date hereof, and shall continue to a period of 5 years. So you have a 5-year contract here. Then you have the compensation right here. The risk fee shall be
Point of order
go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
or privilege. I can't, it seems like you're referring to something on the screen shared. I don't see anything. Am I off base on that?
I thought I shared the screen. Hold on, let me try again. I'm so sorry, I didn't share screen. Can you see it now?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
All right. So it pretty much is, you have the term here of the contract, which is 5-year term. You do a 2-year additional consecutive and automatic 2-year periods following the expiration of the initial 5-year. Down here, you have compensation, which RISD shall be compensated for its service provided to the municipality under this agreement as set forth in Exhibit B. Let me go down to Exhibit B for you. So you see the breakdown. It's a long contract, I apologize.
So just to understand, you're asking us to waive competitive bidding because we're getting an especially good deal with Red Speed, right?
That's correct.
Thank you.
So right now, I'm just asking the commission to vote on waiving competitive bidding. I did send the contract to Mr. Best. He did some modifications, which we sent back to RISD, and he did the corrections and adjustments. So it has been reviewed by our attorney, Mr. Best.
And you were going to show us this place where they lowered a certain
That's on
charge or?
That's on the other contract, ma'am. That's on the red light camera.
Oh.
I can show you that one after we approve the red speed for the speed monitoring system. It's 2 separate contracts.
But it's the same company running both
Same
programs?
company, same company.
Running both programs.
That's correct.
Okay.
So right now, I just need someone to actually do a motion to waive competitive bidding process and to go into a contract with Red Speed for the speed monitoring system. And then what I could do is I could send it over to the next Red Speed contract that shows the adjustments in reference to the pricing.
So the basic reason that we're waiving competitive bidding is because we got an especially good deal with Red Speed on the speed monitoring.
Yes, the speed monitoring, we got a good deal because we don't pay for the cameras up front. What we do is they pay on the back end in reference to the service they provide to each citation. So other monitoring companies are charging us for the cameras each month. So I thought it was a better deal to actually, because we have only 2 cameras going to be on Bladensburg Road. If something happens to that road, like construction, something like that, we'd be paying still monthly payments on a camera that's not in service. So I thought this was a better deal where we pay per ticket instead of paying for a camera then the service.
Thank
Did
you.
we decide did you decide where the cameras are gonna go for the speed? You said it's 2 speed cameras?
2 speed cameras on Bladensburg Road, one going north, other one's going south, because up there by the cemetery, we own both sides of the street. When we come back down toward.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. The Comar Manor annexed that 6 years ago. It was unincorporated Prince George's County, but about 6 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, it could be a little bit longer. Comar Manor annexed that.
Oh, I wasn't.
So if
I wasn't aware of that because it pulled the land records and it's county owned. It's not owned by.
no, it's no longer county owned. It's annexed by Comar Manor.
Okay.
That's a fact.
Okay.
So if you're going to put 2 speed cameras, they need to be in the same direction. I guess that
That's
would be
fine. That's fine. We had no problem with that, sir. It's the point where they pull the records and it was owned by county. But if you say it's something different, I haven't researched it because right now it's still owned by county.
Yeah. Well, call.
And we're
Comar
also
Manor.
going to have
Point of order.
we're also going to have a speed camera on 38 coming into Cottage City from Brentwood, right?
They have to do a study on that. Yes, ma'am. They want to do a study. If it can be put one there, they will put one there, but they have to do a study first. Traffic volume study. But they said they will do that. I'm sorry, I think Mr. Best wants to speak.
Yes, I have the annexation plat and the annexation resolution by Colmar when they annexed Bladensburg Road from what had been their corporate limits all the way to the DC line. I can share that with you. I believe it has a plat, so you can see for yourself. It's not something you would find in the land records. Something you'd find through the Department of Legislative Service and perhaps looking on PG Atlas, the GIS system that Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission has, to see what roadways are in the town's jurisdiction. By the way, have you sought a permit from the state to run the speed cameras on the state highway?
They're doing all that. Once we go into contract, they will do all the permits and all the legwork for the municipality.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. So yes, they would come to us and sit down with us and say exactly where they're going to put the cameras. But right now we're shooting for 2 and possibly 3 after they do the survey on 38th Avenue.
So what everyone needs to understand, and Commissioner Young, they're not going to put a speed camera up there if the assessment doesn't clock people doing more than 11 miles over the speed limit. Because if I'm not mistaken, that's what the trigger is. Is it not?
12 miles was speed limit. 12.
12. So what's the speed limit over there? 25 or 30?
30.
So you're talking about someone would have to be going 42 miles an hour to trigger the speed camera, which is possible, but highly unlikely. The speed you're referring to, you're probably referring to, is speeds that are beyond the speed limit, but likely probably won't trigger the law into effect to allow the speed camera to flash. But the data will show that. I just wanted to make you aware of what the triggers are. So it's not like anybody's going 31 or 32 would automatically get a ticket. So I yield back.
Yeah, so that's why they're doing a study on 38. They already know for a fact that Bladensburg Road has the numbers and the violations.
But we're going to still have that. Right now you have that little thing up on 38 where people can see how fast they're going. Is that going to still be there?
Yes, ma'am. We have those up there now. We change the barriers once a week with those. So those are up and operational. Also, trailers going back out on 38th tomorrow.
Okay. I wish we could talk the state into lowering the speed limit on there. On 38,
I think you might. I think at this point, Commissioner Young, there may be, because I've seen them more in other places now. There may be some opportunity to get that flashing. What's the name to cross the street?
Flashing
Yeah.
Yes, that would be great. That would be great.
Maybe if we can go back to them, and see if there's any possibility, because I've seen it more places now, and so maybe there's an opportunity to have that inserted. And I think that would probably resolve a lot of your concerns, because I know you're speaking mostly of the crossing right there at Parkwood and 38th, I'd assume.
Both right. Both Parkwood and Cottage
Yes.
Terrace. It would be great to have those flashing.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't do 2, but I think you could probably. I think we should be able to get at least 1. I would think anyway. But I think we should definitely go back and see if that's a possibility.
Great.
All right, so I'm just waiting for someone to actually go ahead and waive the competitive bidding for this.
I make a motion that we waive the competitive bidding for Red Speed.
A second.
It's been properly motioned and seconded to waive the
Rationale,
competitive.
please give the rationale in regards to the reasoning for waiving the competitive bidding. For the record.
The reason for waiving the competitive bidding is because we are getting a better deal from this particular company. And that's why we have decided to go with Red Speed. So it's been motioned and seconded. Call for the vote. All in favor,
Aye.
say aye.
Sorry. Aye.
Aye.
Givens, aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Okay, Chief.
Now I'm asking for permission to move into a contract with Red Speed for speed monitoring system. Can I get a motion for that?
Commissioner
So
Givens,
moved.
I make a motion that we utilize Red Speed systems for the red light camera, the speed camera systems that are potentially to go in on Bladensburg Road.
And possibly 38.
And possibly 38. Or within the town of Cottage City, I should say that. Because we don't know exactly.
Second.
The motion has been made in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Givens, aye. Givens, aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Wheatley, aye. Motion passes.
Okay, I need a motion in reference to letting Red Speed be the vendor for our red light camera and to suspend the contract with Variable Mobility.
I make a motion that we enter into a contract with Red Speed as our primary vendor for a red light camera system and suspend the previous contract associated with the red light camera system.
I'll second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm assuming we've gone through whatever we need to do with respect to the previous contractor.
Yes, we have to give them 60 days notice. And the reason, am I on mute? Can you hear me?
We
We
can
can
hear
hear
you.
Reason why we're moving away from the other vendor sent us a letter last week saying that they're going to increase our service fees. And they want to know if possible, if you want to still continue with them or not. So they gave us 60-day that we can actually put in a request to suspend our services with them due to the fact of the I guess the new charges being put on the town, and that we want to move in a different direction. So we have out.
Thank you. I'll vote aye based on that.
Sorry, Commissioner Wheatley, aye. Motion passes. All right, what's next? Let's see. Chief, do you want to do the tough book now? For the art? Okay.
Sorry about that. Let's share my screen again real quick. Oh, a minute. Okay, I'm requesting to use the ARPA funds to purchase tough books for the police department. Our tough books are used for communication between communications 911 as well as our officers cruisers. We are dispatched sometimes going through the systems. Right now, Our RMS systems are down due to the fact that our old tough books are not allowing us to upgrade to the new county system. They're older computers to the point where we have to go and upgrade. So instead of using our town funds to upgrade these computers, at this time, I'm asking permission from the commission to allow us to use the ARPA funds to actually move toward the newer version of the computers that handle the software updates.
Point of order. Point
Yes,
of order. All right, so if we can't identify where the ARPA funds are under expenditures, you can't do it. Not today. Unless you guys are gonna do that within the next 15 minutes, whenever this meeting will end, then you can't do it because there's no identification of where the funds will be.
that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
You know,
That's fair enough.
Yeah. so I mean, we can do it again, once you guys get through that with Brittany, find it in the minutes or whatever you need to do. Then at the very next meeting, you could put that on the agenda in the open meetings aspect of the meeting, and we can attend to that business at that time.
Sure, no problem. So we go ahead and table this.
Okay, we'll table that one. Let's see. Town manager update.
In reference to that, we already talked about personnel issues during closed sessions. We are moving forward with the snow plan with Mr. Pigney. He's supposed to meet with me sometime next week, so we can go ahead and he already has the snow plan together already. I just want to review it with him to make sure that if we need anything to be adjusted to it before we present it to the commission. So he already has something already put together for the snow plan. We are requesting permission from the commission to have reserve volunteers for snow removal. We have 3 individuals that are volunteers. They are routine volunteers for the police department, as well as the town for our community functions. Just wanted to come out to help with snow removals or any storm that we do receive to be a call-out team. We are asking permission for the commission to give them some kind of stipend for when they come out. What I'm suggesting is $15 an hour stipend for them to help out with these snow removals as well as storms like hurricanes or floods. They can come out to assist us in reference to removing items out of the roadway, trying to clean up after storms, as well as traffic control. So right now I'm asking permission for the commission to allow us to do that. They would be contracted just like we do with the vehicle driver. Invoice would be submitted into the department head, Mr. Pigney, and he would actually sign off for it, and I would sign off for it before it goes to commission in reference to the hours that was used for the backup.
So I think Commissioner Young's concern needs to be brought forth and addressed to Mr. Best as to how best we need to go about this in regards to having a reserve unit of paid volunteers for emergency circumstances. How do we go about that? Mr. Best?
Yeah, since they're part-time, I think we discussed before, since they're part-time, it makes sense to waive competitive or, whatever you call it with when you hire people. And since they're local people with special ability to get to where they need to be quickly when it snows, for example, seems like a reasonable thing to do, but we just want to make sure that if there were any other steps we had to, or whatever steps we need to follow, we do that. Hello?
Mr. Best, are you there?
I'm here.
So the question was being posed to you in regards to how do we go about like having a reserve unit for emergency situations, and it might only be twice a year that they're called out, under snowstorms and stuff like that. And volunteers and I guess kind of giving them a stipend or how to compensate them, for the work for that that one day of work, or possibly 2 days, depends on the size of the snowstorm.
Still a lot of information missing here. Are these reserve officers? Is this the reserve officer program or something else?
No, there are normal volunteers, community volunteers that come out to help us out with food deliveries. They help out with some events that we have to come out that set up chairs and tables, but they never get paid. We did have them covered under Legit when they come out and volunteer for these events. So Legit has them covered when they do our community events. So they already covered.
How does Legit have them covered?
Other
If they're
volunteers.
if they're appointed officials or employees, wouldn't they be hired by the commission?
No, they're covered under Legit's volunteers. Like when we have events, we have volunteers. We have a little clause that we pay for in case someone gets hurt as a volunteer. So they cover under that volunteer clause.
Who approves their volunteer status, their designation as a volunteer? Who has authority to approve that?
I guess the town manager. I mean, I don't understand.
I don't believe there's any law. The commission has to approve people to be appointed as appointed individuals or volunteers, whether they're compensated or not. And another question is, are they contractors, independent contractors, or are they part-time employees?
We want to do it as an independent contractor where they would give us invoices of the time that they did that day.
Do they have their own snow removal business?
No.
These people?
No.
Then they cannot be independent contractors in that unless they have their own business.
Okay, well, how can we do this then?
You hire them as part-time employees
Okay,
in accordance with your employee handbook.
all right.
And you allocate funds for them in your detailed line item budget. You wanted to pay them a stipend. That's a form of compensation. It's the equivalent of a salary or some sort of hourly pay. I don't know how you wish to do that.
Well, how are we paying Mr. The gentleman that drives the van?
Mr. Hill, Mr. Hill.
Mr. Hill.
The bus driver, Mr. Hill, the former commissioner. I remember having discussions with Consuela about that, the difference between an independent contractor and a part-time employee and stipend and all that. And I believe it was settled on. I had never received information back of what actually came to fruition, but I believe he was hired as a part-time employee. If I'm wrong on that, then I apologize. But if you want to somehow provide some sort of compensation to volunteers, my question was, have they been declared appointees essentially by the commission? Have they signed a waiver form for indemnification purposes? If they're removing snow and they get hurt as an independent contract, you need an indemnification form. If they're employees, then they'd be covered by the town's policies. So there's a number of ways to skin a cat, and I certainly don't want to waste the commission's time. Perhaps you could pick up the phone and call me. We could spend 10 or 15 minutes talking about it without tying up the town meeting.
Okay, so the best thing for us to do is pretty much hire them as part-time employees.
Yeah, why don't you do what Mr. Best suggests? Talk with him and figure out the best way to do it, and then come back and let us know and
Sure.
have us vote to affirm
Okay,
whatever we need.
all right, pretty much that's all we have for we'll go rediscuss this next time. I'll go ahead and meet with Mr. Best and get the best way to do this. It's best for the town. And we revisit it. That's all I have for the town manager portion.
Okay. Chief, did you let everyone know about the person we selected last night is not available to be fingerprinted until tomorrow?
Yes, in reference to Ms. Gross, she won't be able to get fingerprinted till tomorrow. So she already has an appointment with Capitol Heights live scan to be scanned in. I did speak to two of her references today, so that part is done. Once we get the live scan in tomorrow, which should be no problem because she was bonded once before when she was a worked for her branch and for the bank. So I don't see us foreseeing problems once they come back. I want permission from the commission that if everything comes back clear with the background investigation, to move forward to give her offer letter tomorrow evening.
It's okay with me.
So what do you see? You need a motion to do, and then you need to indicate that person, position, the status as far as full-time, part-time, and the hourly rate.
All right. I'll get that real quick. I'll get that real quick for you.
I thought we were gonna wait and do that. I thought right now you're just doing the background check.
Will be contingent because it's something that they want to kind of do.
Yeah, we don't want to wait till next meeting.
Right, and then you could do it contingent upon passing the administrative aspect of requirements associated with the position.
That sounds good.
All
So
right.
do we have all the information that we need to make that motion?
In a few minutes, can we go ahead and circle back to this? I'm gonna get the numbers for you real quick. So can we move on to something else? I'm gonna keep it going.
Mr. Pinkney, are you ready for Public Works?
Yes. Public Works, we don't have a whole lot. Just wanted to talk about, we did have two pretty major snowstorms in the last week. Probably more snow than we've seen in a few years. We were short-staffed, so I do want to thank our acting town manager, Chief Aries, for stepping in and assisting him and the police department, assisting with the sidewalks. Chief took one of the trucks and cleared the parking lots for me, and helped, once the snow had stopped, he helped open up the not the sidewalks, the parking for residents, and help move some of the big chunks of snow around. So I do want to say thank you to our chief for stepping in and our police department for helping us with the sidewalks. We do have another snow event that looks to be coming on Sunday into Monday. Our staff is back and is ready for this storm. We have both of our trucks already, our snow equipment, everything is ready to go. Only thing that we do have to get, which we're going to go pick up tomorrow, is another pallet of bag salt. We are down to the limit where now we would go and purchase some more salt. So we'll go pick that up on tomorrow so that we'll have our bag salt all stacked up and ready to go. Other than that, we're ready for that. We had a few limbs, well, a lot of limbs that came down. It just, that first snow was wet and it was heavy. And the trees the trees were hanging, looked crazy because the snow was so heavy that they was hanging over, and we had some dead limbs fell, some healthy limbs fell, some limbs just split and just hung over. We're still cleaning up some of that stuff right now. I believe that the Tree Canopy Committee did a walkthrough and looked at the trees to see, how much damage was made. I'm not sure if Denise Hamlin is on, and she's going to give a report on that, but I know she said she's going to submit it to me so that we can have a tree company be able to show some attention to some of the trees that were damaged from this past storm, and even some of the future storms that may come up within the next month or so. The sidewalks, we tabled the change order for the sidewalks until next month. For some reason, we're having issues with receiving emails from the vendor right now. So as soon as I get that change order, I'll send it over to the commission so that we'll all be prepared for the next meeting. He's been trying to send it. He sent it multiple times. He tried to send it to Brittany, and it still hasn't come through. So I'm not sure. Peak is going to take a look and see if it's on our end. It may be on their end that it's not allowing it to come through. push come to shove, that when he brings me the signed documents that he needs to bring me, he'll probably just bring me a hard copy, and I'll just scan that and send it that way. So we're still moving forward with that. As the chief spoke to you, we are going to meet on next week, talk about some of the projects, stormwater management projects that we're going to try to push real hard in the coming months, meeting with CPJ and some other folks to try to come up with best practices, best solutions for that area. We have a couple ideas that we put on the table that we can possibly get grants from. So it may not even have to come out of the ARPA money. It may come out of the ARPA money. Some of it may come out. We don't know until we are able to kind of like finalize what the best solution is and see if the grant will accommodate us in that aspect. There's also some other areas that I identified that we're going to look at too, that probably be more phase 2 or phase 3 of stormwater management project. We're also finalizing and going to finalize next week for the commission the snow plan, so that the commission can evaluate that, and we can vote to put that one in the books. So we got a few things that we're working on that I'm gonna be working with the chief on in the next coming weeks. But right now, it's just more so getting the snow together. The Public Works building, we got pushed back a little bit on getting the floors done because of some health issues, and then also we had the snow that came right after that. So we got pushed back a week or so on that. But myself and Commissioner Givens are still moving forward and trying to hurry up and get that Public Works building together. It's already been painted and everything. We just need to go get the floors, set the floors up. Peak is working on getting us a Wi-Fi point-to-point type repeater that will allow for us to get a good signal down at the public workshop, so that work can be done down there and then not just be an office without a computer or anything of that nature. So we're still working on that. Peak is supposed to come up with the pricing on what it would cost for us to get those 3 components to make that happen. Our trucks did go in the shop. We had one minor thing where the auger got jammed. We got that fixed. And then we had a one of the cylinder pumps on the truck had broken, and we had to get that fixed. So those got fixed immediately right after the storm, and they were ready to go for the second storm. So our trucks are ready to go. We got a few things that are coming in this week, antennas and things like that we're able to put on there that broke off. Nothing serious. And we'll be good to go with that. Any questions?
I have a question. I'm assuming we probably have to wait until the snow is over, but do you have a tentative date on the speed hump on Parkview over here? Parkwood over here?
Yeah, Parkwood, we're definitely gonna get those in. We're most likely gonna wait until maybe the beginning of March to do it after all of the snow is gone, so that we don't destroy them with salt, being new, and then applying salt right directly down on them and tearing them up. So it'll probably be sometime in the beginning of March when snow has kind of died down.
Thank you.
So in regards to Public Works, what's the status on the lighting down on the end of Cottage Terrace? It's been a couple of years, at least over a year now, of the inquiry about, getting those upgraded to LEDs.
Miss Barbara was handling that before she left. I'm not 100% sure of where she left off with that. but I will contact Mr. Ruffin myself and just find out what their last communications was on that. And then I'll report it back to the commission once I talk to him.
Yeah, because we really
You're
need to
talking
get
about
back.
your end or our end, Demetrius?
Oh, I'm sorry, my end, where we had a citizen request the lighting situation be upgraded, and Mr. Brooks, I believe his name is. And so we need to kind of get back with him, and because he posed it to the commission, and we should, out of respect, give him some type of updated situation. And so the other thing is on 43rd at Bladensburg Road, we need to get that sign. I noticed it this morning. I noticed it before, but I saw it again this morning. Straighten back up. I forgot. I think it's the do not enter sign or something like that. It's right there on the corner. So we need to kind of get that erected back, straight back up and down. And also, I want the commission to be aware of it appears that the work that was done by the I guess the county on that road on 43rd was successful, because I monitored it for during the ice thing, and I hadn't seen any water sitting there on the cusp, creating a hazardous situation. I don't know, Greg, if you want to speak to any your monitoring of it. But I've been kind of looking at it when I can, and I think it looks like it appears to be successful. They're fixed.
It has been successful. However, because of the amount of, I guess, water that was melting on the streets from all the snow that we just had and how cold it's been, the last 2 days we did have to go down there and put a little bit of salt down there just to kind of assist it. But for the most part, it has been successful. We've watched it after multiple rains and stuff like that, and the water flowed properly. But just this past snow event that we had, because of all the water that's been kind of melting and going down that road and how cold it's been getting, it has frozen up a little bit down there. So I wasn't able to take a picture. I wanted to be able to take a picture so that I could send it to him. But definitely, if it does it again, I will make sure that I get that picture and send it to him. But it is a lot better than what it was, because they did raise the street up on that one side where the storm drain was at, where the water couldn't get up the was kind of like a little hill almost. So that has been successful on that side, that aspect of it. But it's not 100%, but it's way further along than what it was before.
What's the latest on the bridge just south of 37th?
So the county, and I think I spoke about this a few months ago, the county turned the whole project over to State Highway. State Highway is going to take care of the whole thing. The county went in and they did their part with taking the bridge down, doing a temporary fix to hold the road, hold the structure. And then the county is supposed to come in and do the permanent fix and then put a concrete sidewalk, as opposed to putting a bridge up there. They're going to do a regular concrete sidewalk. I have not heard of the time frame of State Highway. The last time that we've talked to State Highway about this, that's when they were talking about how things was an emergency or an urgency. It wasn't an emergency, it was an urgency. Now it's an emergency and not an urgency, or whatever the case may be. So I have to check back with them and see if they have a time frame. But I know it wasn't in their budget, and they didn't plan, from my understanding, to do anything until this year when the new budget year came about. But that was before Prince George's County went in and started doing their work. So I'm not sure if anything changed. I'll have to check on that and report that back as well.
Yeah, one of them definitely said they were going to be working on it, and I can't remember if it was the state or the county. It might have been the county. Thank you. Yeah, it'd be good to find out whatever we can.
So, I can tell you what I know. Before Miss Barbara left, she had updated me on that bridge, and the last, bit of information she received was that they were not going to do it this year.
Hmm.
But I think that would have been for 2021. So I don't know if they meant this budget cycle year or the whole year of 22. So, but we did get a response back that they weren't going to do it right now. And it was because of the money. That was the last thing I heard. So, Greg, like, if you could follow up on that and just find out, like Ann was asking, because I don't know what the time frame is anymore. It keeps changing.
Yeah, I'll check with them this week and I'll make sure that I let you know.
So it's still
Thank-
down to one
thank-
traffic at that location?
Say it again.
Is it still down to one lane of traffic at that location?
Yes. They still got they still got the barriers up. And they actually have to have it up right now because the sidewalk is removed. The whole bridge is removed. The structure, they've moved the structure and did a temporary fix underneath. So right now they got that structure fenced off and they got the barricades going around so people can still walk and get through.
That sounds like that's gonna be a major problem once people really start to get back to work after this COVID thing kind of clears up. Because, you know, that's another access route to the District of Columbia, and traffic will be backed up, you know, which will be worse than it usually is. So I hope that they get it done sooner than later, so.
Any other questions? All right, I turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Chief, Police Department report, you want to give us that one? Chief,
While you're waiting on the chief,
I'm here. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
okay, so you're up next. Do you want us to go ahead and make the motion for Ms. Gross now?
Yes,
Since you have the information up?
yes.
All right. Commissioner Armashev, I think you were getting ready to make that motion. Was that you or someone else?
It was not me.
Was it you, Ann? I thought someone
but
had.
it can-
Hello?
I don't think it was me, but I guess I can't. Pardon me, I've just been coughing. Okay, so I make a motion that we authorize excuse me, the hiring. I think somebody else, somebody else can do it. I'm about to have a coughing fit.
Commissioner Gibbons, I make a motion that we hire Miss Tracy Gross for the position of grant manager for the hourly rate of $28.85 an hour, and a full-time position for the town of Cottage City.
Assuming all her information comes back right. Is that right?
Yeah, so modification is so long contingent on fulfilling all of the administrative requirements associated with the hiring of that position.
I second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Gibbons, aye.
Commissioner Wheatley, aye. Motion passes. All right, Chief, so we took care of that one. Are you ready to do your report for the police department?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on, before we go to the chief, let's finish
with the town manager. I got a couple of things for the town manager.
Sure.
So there's some things that we need to make sure that we continually do on an old business basis for these meetings, is we need to get an update, a monthly update as where we sit in regards to things like the dog park, because that was one of the things that I had wanted to kind of see get to fruition. Where are we at with the potential thing down at the park? Even if you don't know a lot, just kind of say status quo or whatever. As well as I need to kind of get an update on where we at with the newly acquired firehouse, because I believe that our next position, our next step in regards to that is the commission needs to put out an RFP, or hire a company to go, or just waive the bids rights or whatever, to hire a company to get a structural analysis of that property for repair before we do anything to the property. So those are, and as well as where are we at, or where is the position at with the building next door to the town hall? Because I know that the commission had the majority had considered wanting to do eminent domain, and so where does the status of that position sit? So we need to, I'd like to get answers to these now, if you know, and if not, we need to make sure that those things are on a monthly, on an old business, because what happens is we can miss out. And we do forget from time to time as commissioners, and we should get some regular updates in regards to those things. So I yield back. Thank you.
Sure. Yes, I can speak.
Can I just say something real quick? We do have an upcoming meeting with Neighborhood Design on the 19th at 6 p.m. Go ahead, Chief.
Yes, I was going to mention that. So in reference to the dog park, that's the other park planning. That's not with the new design. I will get in contact with them tomorrow to see exactly where we are with the field, the ball field. They're supposed to actually resurface the ball field by the river by smoothing it out. Also, they promised us a pavilion down there and some other things. So I'll make sure that we stay up on that. We are having a meeting on the 19th with the planning committee. Update with the firehouse. Commissioner Whitley has been on me about that. I did make contact with Mr. Hoffman. I forgot his name. The gentleman that Huffman. I did call him today. He was supposed to call me back before the meeting, but he didn't. I told Commissioner Wheatley I will go ahead and send an email out to him tomorrow, CCing the commission about what the status of the firehouse as well as the vacant house next door, to see if he can give us an update that he can send back to me in the commission. I'll get right on that tomorrow morning, first thing. But Commissioner Wheatley has been asking me in reference to get in contact with him this week. I will also give you constant updates on these things at the next meeting. I made notes of it. I make sure that we stay on top of those things, because I know it's very important that we show some kind of progress with the parks down there in reference to things that park planning did promise us that they would start working on for the upcoming season. So yes, sir, I'll take care of that for you.
Thank you. So
I have a question.
Just so I'm clear, you said that there's a meeting on the 19th in regards to the old firehouse, or am I confused?
So on
So that's the neighborhood design, which would include the dog park.
the neighborhood design is considered reference to what we can put down there at the parks in reference to.
Oh, okay.
Center and
Okay.
stuff like that. So
Okay,
that's the land use.
So right now, the firehouse, there's nothing going on. Didn't we get the deed?
Yeah,
signed over to-
we did get the deed. I found out we got the deed. The deed was turned over to our attorney to send down to Upper Marlboro for filing.
Okay, so in regards to that, is there any status update in regards to, because I think that we need to put on the next month's agenda is to have that building assessed for safety by a structural engineer. You have a structural problem there, and you can't have anybody in that building until that fix is done. So,
Okay.
and they don't do the fix, they just they tell you how the fix needs to be done in
Right.
order to be fit to fit on construction standards.
Right, I agree with that, but we gotta find out what line item I'm pull that from to pay for a person to come out to do that survey. My suggestion, to throw it out there, we do have ARPA funds that we can put toward that building if we use that building for some kind of outreach or mental illness location. That's something we think about, so we can use the funds to actually pay for a person to come in there to actually do the assessment. That's something we need to talk about. Do you want to use our own town funds for that, or do you want to try to see if you can tie it to an ARPA project?
Well, I think that's a commission decision, in regards to, how you proceed with that. But I would say though, however you use that building, I would hope that the commission would not go and add to our financial situation and hire a person designated for that location, but enter into some type of private public partnership with some type of nonprofit or profit, so that it could be staffed and utilized for some type of community outreach back to the residents of Cottage City. So I yield back.
Well, that's
I had a question also. We had talked about getting a survey, and you mentioned the survey, Chief, because there was some question about the property line between where the firehouse is and that house that's on the corner of Parkwood and 38. Is that underway, or where do we stand on that? And then also I had some, after you answered that, I have something to ask about with respect to the other building.
sure. I'm not aware of any studies for means and bounds for that location. But once again, I had no problem taking that task on. But I'd like to know what line item I need to pull from to get the funding to actually purchase those kind of requests. Some of these things will cost funding.
Right.
I just want to know
Right.
where I should pull it from, because we kind of tight this year with our budget. We do have some line items we might could pull from, but like I said, it's the point where if we want to use ARPA funds to do any of these things, it has to be tied to some kind of project or some kind of program that we want to put or use that facility for. It can be a multi-use facility. It's the point where if you want to use the ARPA funds, it has to be tied to something like that. If not,
Maybe we just put this on the agenda for the next
yeah, the work session, because I need to know, yeah. I
work
need to know
session and town meeting, right?
Right, 'cause I didn't know where.
And then the other thing was Demetrius mentioned eminent domain, and I don't know whether we have asked Mr. Huffman. I don't know, Kevin, whether you have any experience with that. But as far as the last I heard, things are just sort of hanging with that. It's not for sale. And I don't know, whether that could stop us from proceeding with eminent domain, but that is something we need to find out about. So I think we ought to put that on the agenda for next month also, and see what we can find out before then, so that we can have a more educated discussion on it.
We had designated Ms. Barber to get with Mr. Best in regards to that. Mr. Husband has identified that he doesn't do eminent domain. He has no
Oh, he
experience.
doesn't. Okay, Kevin, can you do
He
that?
already said that. And so Ms. Barber was supposed to query Mr. Best because we understood that he had some experience, but I'm not sure if he was able to do it or not, or what we need to do to kind of get that process underway. Mr. Best, can you elaborate?
Yes, I recall some months ago having email exchanges or conversations with Ms. Barber, and I indicated the process for eminent domain. I've not personally done an eminent domain case in this circuit court for Prince George's County. I don't think it's that difficult to do, but it's up to you if you wish to hire outside counsel like you did with Mr. Huffman. And yeah, of course, Byron does not do eminent domain, but either way, I could do it. I'm willing to do it, or we could have someone that a big firm or a medium-sized firm that has plenty of experience doing, file the case in the circuit court for Prince George's County.
So I guess what we didn't do is, Mr. Best, we never got any information back. So if you were having exchanges, we were kind of not brought up to speed as to what the requirements would be. Right now, we just know the name, eminent domain. We don't know the process as far as like, do we need to go ahead and do some drawings or something like that to establish, you know, what do we need to do in regards to that particular property to be successful at that. And I would say that if we can just go with you, and since you already know about the situation and you're familiar with it, and I know that you'd probably be a lot cheaper than a huge firm as well. But can you kind of give us a little bit of a
And also,
layout?
when you do that, the other question is, what is the effect of this pending lawsuit and the bank saying it's not for sale, and we don't know what's going on with the lawsuit? Would that interfere with eminent domain? Do we have to wait for that to be over, or can we go ahead with it pending, you know, while that's still pending?
I think the answer to that is yes. You probably need to resolve who holds title, so that the parties can be properly named in the lawsuit.
So we just wait, and the problem is that we don't have anyone that's committed to telling us what's going on with it. I mean, I think Mr. Huffman's sort of watching it, but they won't tell him anything either.
Well, I haven't received any reports on that property for at least 2 or 3 months. So I'd have to ask the buyer. It sounds like Byron may not even be up to speed on it. So
Right.
it kind of puts you in limbo when you're not certain who the title owners are, so that you can perfect a eminent domain proceeding. Because the way the process works in the Maryland rules is, one of the first things you need to do is try to negotiate a sale. And then if not, then you need to procure an appraisal. And that's a main exhibit that you file in the court as you proceed down the road to perfecting the eminent domain. So, you know, and I don't know that you have.
And they
to
haven't let us.
definitively
They haven't
know-
allowed us to do They haven't allowed us to do an appraisal because of this limbo that it's in. They won't let us get in the property to do an appraisal. It's the last I heard.
Yes, I recall hearing that, and I didn't know it was resolved because I haven't been receiving any reports. To be quite frank, my discussions with people in the town have fallen off for the last month or so, and I attributed it to Miss Barber's leaving. I know the chief has a lot of fish to fry as the chief of police as well, but yeah, there's a lot of review of what the status is, and then, you know, a decision will be needed. But what I'll do, I'll tell you at this point, tomorrow I will send all the commissioners the synopsis email on the process for eminent domain, and I'll also reach out to my good friend Byron Huffman and ask him to give me any knowledge he has of the status of the property tomorrow.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks.
So let me be clear, Mr. Best. So I don't need to get in contact with Mr. Huffman tomorrow. You would take care of that, correct? In reference to his status of the properties.
You know, either way, if you know, you plan to do that, and you could, if you're going to communicate via email, just, you know, forward or CC me.
Okay, I see.
I don't want to over lawyer this, but
Yeah.
however you all want to proceed.
Yeah, I mean, it's to the point where I just don't want both of us to be sending him requests, you know.
Right.
You know, so if that's what the commission wants you to do, is take charge of that, that would take one thing off my plate. So it's up to you. If not, I can go ahead and put it in my email to him tomorrow and CC you and the commission. Just let me know what you want me to do.
Yeah, please do that. If there's no objection, that'd be fine. We can start there.
All right.
To find out the status, and we'll proceed from there. But in the meantime, I will send the synopsis of the process in the Maryland rules for prosecuting eminent domain action in the circuit court to all the commissioners and yourself.
All right, thank you, sir.
Sure, thanks.
That was all,
Madam
that
Chair?
was all I had for the town manager. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes. Chief, you're up next for the police.
Yes, do I still have the code enforcement officer online, Mr. Redding?
Yes, I
Yes,
see his
sir.
name.
Yes, Mr. Redding is going to present. Right now, when he first got here, I had him tasked with trying to find software that can be used, that has a platform that can be used at both locations, Como, Maryland and Carter City, that can keep us up to date with pretty much where Mr. Redding is with complaints, concerns, as well as citations. Mr. Redding, you want to go ahead and do your little presentation?
Yes, sir. So first and foremost, good evening, members of the commission. Thank you for allowing me some time to get settled in. I have enjoyed taking the first couple of weeks just riding around and getting out there and meeting members of the community. Everyone has been very friendly, and I am excited to continue making relationships and meeting new people. Cottage City government is a small municipality, but I can say with certainty that the staff here provide the highest level of service that I've seen during my career in local government. I intend to be no different, and that is why I am presenting you all with what I believe will make things a little smoother. For me to provide the highest level of service as the code enforcement officer, I think it's imperative that we automate our processes. Currently, the town does not have a system in place for record keeping, for fee tracking, or property history for any code cases. This leaves me clueless to any previous interactions, warnings, citations, even court cases. Administratively, this can be a problem for FOIA requests, liens, and even auditing. Daily code enforcement work can be difficult to show on paper. I'll give you all an example. If I go out into the community and I receive a complaint from a resident, I go and investigate it. I spend some time at the property looking into the complaint, and I'm unsure if it is in fact a violation. I then reach out to another government agency, say PG County, or even another local inspector from another municipality, to get their input. And then I find out that it isn't a violation, and I don't have to move forward with issuing a notice. However, I just spent 2 hours doing all of that. I didn't issue any notices, and I didn't have to reach out to the property owner. Because there isn't a software in place, there isn't, or a system in place, pardon me, there isn't anything that shows what I just worked on. That makes it hard to show what I just spent 2 hours doing. That is where a software system comes in. The software would allow me to enter in the complaint, the time of receiving the complainant's information, unless of course they want to remain anonymous, which is common. I could enter in the pictures that I took. I can enter in all of the steps that I took of working the complaint, any other notes of what I found out. Let's see. Having detailed records makes a world of difference in any job, but especially in government. Often the reason something slips through the crack is because of poor record keeping. When I issue a violation notice and the owner doesn't comply, I usually issue a second or final violation notice, depending on the violation. I make every attempt to work with the property owner to help them rectify the situation. However, if the property owner doesn't comply, I issue a citation. The reason I do that isn't because I enjoy issuing citations, it's because I like to be uniform in all of my processes and make sure I do the same thing each time. I don't believe in selective enforcement, and the software would make sure that I follow the same process and procedure for each case. Having to split my time with Palmer Manor limits how much I can do each day, so I want to make sure that I'm being as efficient with my time as I can be. The software would reduce my time in the office and give me more time out in the community. That is why I believe the town of Cottage City should partner with the software provider Comcade. Comcade is a well-known code software in Prince George's County and one of the most reasonably priced. The town would be able to have records for property history, owner information, liens, fines, violations, and permits. It would give members of the commission the opportunity to answer questions from members of their ward regarding property issues, as they would be able to see the same set of records that I have. It would increase productivity because I wouldn't need to be in the office working on violation notices and making sure that I'm filing papers in the correct location and putting them in folders or creating tabs on my computer. If I wasn't in, it would allow other staff members to answer questions about a certain case and not have to tell residents that I will get back to them when I return back into the office. It would make an immediate positive impact for the town residents as well as town staff. I'm excited to help build with the town of Cottage City and look forward to the future with each of you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. I'm ready. Are there any questions for
Yeah,
Mr. Reddy, Madam Chief?
I'd like to add on real quick before we start asking questions. We did pull 4 quotes. We did look at both the quotes and we saw that this was the best way to go about it, the most efficient way to go about it. So he does have 3 or 4 other quotes for the bidding process, but we think this is the best way to go. To move forward with this, we asked the commission, after the questions are over, is to waive the bidding process and we move forward, or if you want to, we can send you all the bids into the commission for review. But we're just trying to get this thing up and running before the weather breaks, because it's gonna take some time for the platform to be built. And we have to have time for the commission across the street from our mayor, the council over there, to vote on it also. All right, y'all gonna ask questions to Mr. Brandon. Thank you.
What are the associated costs?
So give me 1 second, let me pull that up.
And while he's pulling that up, we're pulling that first immediate cost from the open salary that's left in the salary cap for Mr. Wade when he left, and we had a gap. So we probably asked the commission to reallocate funds from the salary line item to I guess police office expenses before we make the purchase if we move forward with this.
All righty, my apologies for the delay. So with Comcade, so the upfront cost would be $8,522. And then yearly after that, it would be $4,697. Now, obviously, take into account that that would have to be split 2 ways, so divide that by 2. Let's see, the other ones that I pulled just to kind of give you guys a ballpark number. So one of them, the upfront cost was $20,000, and then the yearly cost was somewhere between 5 and 10. Couldn't give me a definitive answer. Another one was $21,000 upfront, and then $13,500 yearly. And then the last one, which is a little bit cheaper, was $4,200 yearly. And they say no upfront cost, but it requires a little more labor from our side. They don't do quite as much as like Comcade. There's no GIS integration, things like that. We would have to enter all that stuff in manually.
So you're what you're talking about, it sounds to me, and I could be wrong, because I know that there's programs already out there. So you're not talking about programs that are already currently in effect for code enforcement. You're talking about building an app or a platform specific for Palmer Manor, Cottage City, to your, I guess to
kind of like custom made. Is that accurate, or is that not accurate?
No, sir. These are all already established providers of code softwares. The cheapest one, that number that I just told you, which is 4,200 yearly, that is only for Cottage City. They don't have an option that they could integrate both municipalities into the software. So that was the catch. Yes, it's a little cheaper and might not have an upfront cost, but you have to do more, and it would only be for Cottage City. But these other providers, they are already well established, software applications.
And reason why we need two separate platforms, because our codes and ordinance are different than theirs, and our citations as well as our other letterheads going to be different. We did RFP, so to make sure everybody's even for apples to apples, in reference to making sure that we have some kind of way that we have one platform can do both sides. That it'd be easy for him to switch one side to the other side to get his work done and be more efficient.
Yes, and to follow up on that, so I spoke with I believe his title is Executive Director of Comcate, and he assured me, and I have familiarity with Comcate. Hyattsville has it, Berwyn Heights, College Park, and a few other, Landover Hills. So they can create it where it would be all in one platform, but it could do the job of both, and it would separate the codes as well as, like, even the notices would look different, as fit. So when you type in the address, it would generate into the system and see that it's in Cottage City. So then it would pull Cottage City notices and Cottage City codes, and then vice versa for Colmar Manor.
Any other questions?
So, have you presented this to Colmar Manor as well? We can't.
So
you can't just dump. You can't just dump a cost on them without them having previous knowledge of what that associated cost and benefit to them being as well, because we do share a code enforcement officer and we share expenses.
Absolutely. So I spoke with Chief Stone earlier today and told him that I was going to be talking with you all and, giving you guys numbers and just kind of seeing where everybody was at. And his answer to me was that they are looking to automate. I know that he was the one that told me about the one that's the cheapest. And when I told him the numbers, it actually comes out to a little cheaper than what it was for just his provider that he had sought out. And so he told me to come to you guys first, and then if everybody was on board, then to go over there and then see if everybody is on board there. But he seems to think that it shouldn't be an issue. And, with the cost and, I don't want to say relationship with Comcate, but because I do have, I've been in communication with them in the past, I was able to get like a little discount. I mean, it's not, drastic, but I think like $1,000 a year or so. So, I was able to cut costs down.
Any other questions for Mr. Redding? Officer Redding? So pretty much what we're trying to do is get your input and permission to say yes if we can move forward with this, and Colmar Manor moves forward, we can go ahead and make this happen. Right now, pretty much Colmar Manor is waiting for us to see what Carter City is gonna do, because pretty much we pay all the bills, so it had to come to us first. And then once we agreed on something, he can pitch to Como Manor in reference to this project. But it's definitely something that is needed.
I got a couple quick.
Sure.
So the $8,000 figure and then the 4,000 or whatever it was yearly would be split between us and Comar Manor. First question.
Yes, ma'am.
And the second question. Okay. And then you're asking us to. And the second question is where. I guess this is for you, Chief. Where in the budget would this come from? Do we have it in this year's budget? Are you suggesting ARPA funds? I think you may have said that.
No, we can't we couldn't use ARPA funds for this. But what we do is we have room in the salary. Mr. Wade left a couple months ago before we hired Mr. Redding. So we have some money left over in salary to actually offset the costs, the upfront costs for the payment of the first year. But I guess the first year is already included with that 8,000, correct? Mr. Redding?
Correct.
Yeah. So once we pay
So
that,
we've got enough money to cover the whole 8,000.
yeah, close to it. I gotta look at the numbers. I can call and get the numbers, but I'm pretty sure we're real close that we can pay the 8,000 out that salary.
And so you're asking us to take action on this at this point, or is this just sort of for information at this
So
point?
what I wanted to do right now is I know for a fact I don't have the reason why I can't really vote. Y'all saying definite is because I don't know where I could pull the money from. I still have to pull the actual salary down to see if we have 8,000 in the salary. I'm pretty sure we're real close to it, but I don't want to commit y'all to that tonight. Doing anything to win. What I want to do is say that, you're ready to move forward and you will find the money to actually take care of it. So we're not going to vote on it tonight, but I want y'all to say that, yes, we want to move forward with the project. We will find the money somewhere. But what happens if we go outside that salary cap, and I just want y'all to be clear of this. If we can't find that $8,000 salary cap, the difference has to be split in half between both towns. So for instance, we have 6,000 in the salary cap that we use for it. That's fine. That money is already there for both sides. If we gotta go over that 6,000 and we find 2,000 somewhere else, Como Manor has to come up with 1,000. That make sense? Does that make sense to everybody?
Right. So, but you're
Yes.
asking us to sort of tentatively approve it at this point, or
Yes,
should we
just
just bring it
approve it,
back
saying
next
that,
month?
yes, we like the project, we want to move forward with this. We will find our money, our portion on our side, if the full amount is not there in the salary line item. That we're not going to vote on, move forward with this to the point we're saying that, yes, we're interested and we want to move forward and trying to learn more. So we can go ahead and get Como Manor on the same side, because right now, I don't have the exact numbers for the salary to actually confirm that, because I can't move forward with y'all voting on it tonight, because if y'all vote on it and the money's not there in a salary, we'll have a problem. Then we gotta come back and change all around. I'd rather be confirmed that we have the 8,000 or close to it and come back and say, well, look, I got close to it. There's 6,000 in there that we can use, but we gotta find 1,000 somewhere else until Como Manor, they gotta come up with 1,000. That make sense?
Okay, so Chief, it doesn't, there's a lot more room than you may realize. But you still need to find it. So you still need to put it together and you need to present it. So what happens is it's based on department, right? So if you're already over budget in your department moving forward and it's anticipated you're going to go over budget, then you don't have the money. But if it shows that, oh, we're under budget at our department and it looks like we're forecasting, and I'm not sure if, and you need to get with the accountant in regards to this, we're forecasted to be under budget by $20,000. Then there's no budget amendment required. Because you would be spending the money from that department.
No. I understand that. Mr. Givens, you're missing the point. We split the salary for code.
I know. I'm not. You listen. I'm not. I know that. You don't have to explain it to me. I'm the one who designed that. I know that. So, so that's what I'm saying. So that's not, forget Comar Manor, because when you do your budget, it shows Comar Manor on the balance sheet, but in regards to how we have to spend money, we have to spend it in accordance to what our budgetary situation is. You know, we factor that in when we do the budget, but that's not how it goes in this regard. So I'm sure it's there. You just need to get with the accountant. And like you said, you're just kind of putting it in our ear, and you're going to kind of go through them and kind of smooth it out, and so that you'll have better numbers and harder numbers for us. And that's fine. You know, so it's not, you start parsing numbers with $1,000 and Comar Manor, it gets convoluted and confusing, and it really is not, it's not in line with what's actually there and what's not there. So.
Okay. Well, what we're trying to do right now is find directions that our commission is all for the program, and that y'all want to move forward, and say that, look, we want to move forward with it. And once we get okay for the other side saying they want it also, I should have our numbers ready for a vote the next meeting, probably next month.
Okay. In the meantime, what you need to do is, if you're asking us to forego an RFP process, because of course we would still need, like Mr. Best has said in the past, and you have said that you have already done it, is gotten 4 quotes. Then we would need to actually see those quotes, and those become a part of your voting record, because then you could always go back to say, you know, if it were ever audited in regards to that, you know, FOIA request or something like that, you know, from other vendors or whatever, we could show a process and we did it appropriately through that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing no further questions, we'll go on to the next item.
No, I think he just wants to kind of get a sense of what is our desire. He's not asking for a vote, but in regards to what is our desire. And I would say, speaking for my behalf, I'm okay with the, you know, with this, especially eventually we're gonna have to pay half the cost. So I would say, you know, desire him to continue to research further and provide us further what's to be able to vote on at the next meeting. I yield back.
It's okay with me. Anyone else?
That's okay with me.
Same. Sounds like a good idea.
All right, Mr. Redding, you got your answer. So let Chief Stone know that our town is ready to move forward with some kind of program for code. And what we do is we are going to vote next month in reference to which one we're going to go with, but we are moving forward in that direction.
Sounds good. And thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Redding. The only other things I have, ma'am, is in commission, is that we do have the speed shields up. They are being checked on a regular basis to make sure that, you know, we change out the batteries. The speed sled, we brought it back in because of the snow. We just don't want nobody hit the actual trailer, the speed trailer. Once we have some more room to put it out, we put the trailer back out. It has worked very well. We have residents, they talk to us about, they're very happy to see those speed signs up, letting people know how fast they're going. They are seeing a difference in some of the streets, that people are slowing down a little bit, cutting through. We are looking at trying to get the flashing lights. We're trying to see how much they cost. We're evaluating because we have to get permission from county, because 38th is a county street. Actually, I think it's a state road because it's a number. So we have to get permission from state to actually put the crosswalk lines in and post the flashing lights up. So I'm getting more information. I should be able to report back next month in reference to the flashing lights and the crosswalk. Any other concerns or questions about police department at this time? Or code?
Commissioner Givens, I would just ask that you get with Public Works and assist them if they haven't already done it and you know, ascertaining the problems associated with the previous speed what's in, so we can get that one back up and running as well. So if it's a new battery, then let's get that. If it's some internal parts that just need to be changed, let's kind of, or just see how much the repairs are going to cost, you know, so that we kind of we can make a decision on the commission aspect of whether we want to put that back in service associated with the cost or not. I yield back.
No problem. I have that noted. That's all I have, oh man.
Thank you. If there's no other questions for the police department and our chief, we'll go on to Ward 1 report, Commissioner Young.
I don't really have anything this month other than things I've already raised. So thank you.
Ward 2, Commissioner Armache, anything to report?
No. Nothing to
Okay,
report at this time. Thank you.
all righty, thank you. Ward 3, I do have a few things to report out. First, I want to report out about the vaccine clinic that we did, the collaboration we did with North Brentwood and Brentwood. Again, as I stated, it was a big success. I did receive the report from North Brentwood with all the numbers and the invoice. And so our portion of the cost is $4,000. I have asked Brittany to scan that report so that I can send it out to everyone for your review. Once she gets it scanned in, I'll make sure that it gets sent out. There's one other item I wanted to report about. I received a request from, I believe her name is Michelle. She's at the University of Maryland under their architecture, planning and presentation department. And she sent a request to me and Denise Hamler in regards to the Green Team. They want to do a walkable watershed initiative. They've already spoken to Dan at Edmiston, and they spoke to Mayor James in Bladensburg. And I believe they've spoken with Comar Manor. So they're all interested in doing this initiative. They're going to make a presentation at the quarterly Port Towns meeting on the 31st. But since they came to Cottage City first, they wanted to come to us and do a small presentation or a summary if we would like to have it. If you guys don't want to do it, they'll wait and do everything at the Port Towns meeting. But since they came to Cottage City's Green Team first, they wanted to give us the opportunity to hear the presentation on this walkable watershed initiative. So if you guys are interested, she said it wouldn't be that long. She can do a quick Zoom meeting with us and talk about the project and go into more depth and detail. If you don't want to do the quick Zoom, we can wait until they put the presentation in front of the whole Port Town. So it's up to you guys, but I did tell her I would ask. So is anybody interested in hearing about it prior to the Port Towns meeting?
What can you kind of give us an synopsis of what that would entail? Just as brief, you know, so that we kind of know if it's something we may be interested or not.
So it's the Walkable Watershed Initiative. It provides a community-based green infrastructure planning tool to address flooding and resilience in the context of revitalization planning. So the planning approach is kind of unique in linking environmental and social equity goals. And it's an integrated approach, which means that they're going to help communities leverage more resources, work more efficiently, define new solutions, and, you know, like increase the likelihood of success by acting on multiple fronts together. So if we do the project as the Port Towns, we'll get more out of it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I would say if anytime we have an opportunity to join in with other towns, you know, like Port Towns, something we have a common interest in, it's always a good thing. So I yield back.
Okay, well, that's good, but do you want to have a presentation prior to the meeting, or do you just want to wait? That's my main question.
For me, I can wait. That way we can, and I'd encourage all of us to wait. And the reason why is if all of us attend the Port Towns meeting, then everyone's questions can be answered at the same time. And that everyone sees what your question is too. You know what I'm saying? And so because they may miss a good point of an opportunity that you may have raised. You know what I'm saying? So I think in that setting, and if we're all going to be involved, that will be a better, for me, I think it will be better opportunity to do that in front of everyone, so that everyone's can share in all the information that's available. I yield back.
Okay, and just to let you know, they're going to be looking at applying for a grant from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation to help get the project started. But that won't happen until
When
February.
is the next quarterly meeting?
January 31st.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. And can you just make sure that we kind of get reminded of that? Because sometimes I lose track of that kind of stuff. Thanks.
Yeah, the last couple of quarterly meetings we've had, I've been the only commissioner to attend. I think Commissioner Young may have came to one or two. But most of the time, it's just me there by myself.
I think a lot of that, you could probably have more attendance. And I know we all have to be responsible for our own agendas. But a lot of times, if admin could just send out a text that day, you know, perhaps at 3 o'clock, you know, just reminding us, because, you know, we got life outside of being a commissioner. This is not the only thing that we all do. And people are very busy. And so that's always helpful and I think that was one of Danielle Yuri's main concern. It's like, she probably would attend more stuff, but maybe she forgets too, you know what I'm saying? And she's not notified.
Well,
So I
get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing, but I'll say this, that Miss Barbara, before she left, she always made sure she sent us a reminder. She always sent us one the day before.
I'm not talking about email.
I'm not talking about an email. She sent a text. I sent a text. I sent reminders. Miss Barbara sent reminders, and we sent it via text. And yet, I still was the only one who attended. So I don't know how much a reminder is going to help. Either it's going to be something that you are interested in attending, and you put it on your calendar and you remember, or you don't. I mean, how many reminders do you guys need in order to show up? I know I send reminders. I know I do. And I send them via text because I know some people don't get a chance to check their email every day. I check my email every day. It's just a habit. So I don't know if asking admin to send you guys another text is going to help or not. But if you want to wait until the Port Towns quarterly meeting to hear the presentation, I will let Michelle know that.
I'd be fine with that. And I think I've been to most of the Port Towns meetings. And I do have it on my calendar.
Yeah, you're probably the only one that, other than myself, that attends. I attend because I know as the chair, I have to represent the town. But other than that, and the town manager and like I said, Commissioner Young, I have yet to see any of the other commissioners attend. But I will let Michelle know that you guys are going to wait until the Port Towns meeting. So I believe that's all I wanted to report on. So Ward 4 Commissioner Givens, do you have anything to report out?
No, I got all my questions answered and my concerns. So thank you.
All right. So Commissioner Yuri is not here in attendance, so we will not hear the report from our at-large commissioner. We did have a closed session on the agenda tonight to discuss personnel issues or personnel evaluations, but I think we need to go ahead and table that and just reschedule it for another night. It's already 10:09, so it's getting late. I don't know if anyone else wants to stay on, but I'm kind of ready to sign off. You guys willing to move the closed session to another time?
Yes.
All right. Okay. All right. So before we close, I'm going to open it up to the public one more time. See if there's any public comments. And I'll give you a few seconds to come off mute. I don't see anyone in the, let me check the chat. Maybe there's something in the chat. Nope, don't see anything in the chat. So, okay. Well, I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Givens, I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Givens,
Aye.
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 Wheatley, aye. Thank you, everyone. Good night and Happy New Year.
Good night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Same to everybody. Good night.
Good night.